Tapos na bago na mga estudyante ng tulog, mga bata pa. Alam mo, okay, good morning, class. Thank you for joining our Zoom room today. I hope you can hear me. Will you raise your hands if you can hear me? I have 20 participants who raise their hands. The others cannot hear me. 24, 30, the other 6. Okay, so let us start by first letting me check the attendance. Try to bring down your hands and open all your camera, please. Try to share your video. I'll take a picture for the attendance today. Especially during exams, no, when you allow me to look at your video, there should be no background. Pero during the discussion, pwede naman. Okay, I cannot see. Sino po yung wala? Santiago, wala pang camera. Del Rosario, I'm waiting for you. Okay, so let me take a picture already. Print screen. The first half. 1, 2, 3. Okay, wait a minute. This is susunod. I'll just paste it in our first week exhibit. Today is November 10. The next half. Okay, 1. Pasqua, wala pa rin. Nestle Grace. Ano ba yung kapatid mo? How do you pronounce your surname?
Gitu po.
Tito. So, diretso lang Tito. Okay, so let me take a print screen here. Pasqua, can I see you still? Labang camera, Pasqua. Next time, ha, so that you will not be marked. Pero ngayon, sige, I will allow. Pero next time, okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so for those who are late, I will take their attendance mamaya. You can now turn off your video para hindi masyadong magastos sa feed us. Okay, let me share my screen. Waiting room. Admit all. Okay, as of this moment, I now have 39 participants, but you are 60 or 50 plus. Okay, so we have to wait for the others. Pero I hope they will be coming soon. But I will start the lecture already because we were not able to meet last meeting for the so many problems in the late enrollees. Okay, so good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Strength of Materials or Mechanics of Deformable Bodies lecture series. Okay, so we will be meeting, as you all know, I hope you can hear me. Everybody can hear me, no? This is really being recorded also. But to give you some, let's say, orientation, no? Our course is Strength of Materials or Mechanics of Deformable Bodies, which has the mechanics of our engineering mechanics as its prerequisite. And you have finished both of them, which involves dynamics as well as statics. So the statics were 3 units, Mech 30-2, and the dynamics is Mech 31-2. Okay, so now we are in Mech 32 P-2. Okay, so for this, there will be 3 modules. 3 modules. And the first module will be on the first to fourth week. So but at the end of the fourth week, we will have our module exam. Okay, but for the different aspects that will lead to your computation of your grade will involve our, first we have the project, then we have homeworks and sit works, then we have our notebook, and we have our average of our quizzes, and then our module exam. Okay, for each module, this will be also the distribution of your grades. No, you'll have to take 10% of the project, 10% for the homework and sit work, 10% for the notebook, and then for the quizzes, we have 40%, and the module exam is 30%. So a total of 100. This is for module 1, module 2, module 3. No, second module will be on the 5th to 8th week. And the third module will be on the 9th to 11th week. Okay, notice that the first module will take 4 weeks, but module 1 and 2 will take 4 weeks, but the third module will have it only 3 weeks. So in module 3, instead of having several quizzes and take the average, there will only be 1 quiz and then 1 module exam. So 1 quiz, 1 module exam, but there will be doing of the project, homework and sit works, as well as notebook. Okay, so let me try to discuss our notebook. Okay, every meeting we will have some discussions, no, and whatever is placed, no, in our discussion board or this, I have already shared all the PowerPoint presentation for the whole module 1. No, it's already placed and you can see it. So in your notebook, you have to start, let's say, creating the notebook, and of course it should be handwritten. No, you do not just copy paste what was placed in the PowerPoint in your notebook. No, you need to use your own handwriting. You copy the lecture and then the problems and then the solution. Because this module only contains problems, but the solution we will try to discuss. So that is, I think, the best method or the most effective manner of discussing our calculations. No? You have the problem and then the calculation will follow. Okay, but all of this should be placed in your notebook. Now, at the end of the fourth week, no, you will be taking pictures of your notebook, which were written, handwritten, and then submitting it into the Blackboard na grading column, and that will involve notebook. So it will be graded. So what will be graded in your notebook is the lecture, the calculation, complete computation, and it's also a must that will be that our notebook or your notebook will contain 2 problems per week, taken from any book from the library that you can borrow online, or any problem that you can see on different, let's say, internet resources or whatever books that you have at home. So basta you need to submit or solve, copy the problems, at least 2 problems, and then you write it in your notebook. You try to separate it, let's say in this part of your notebook, you place the lecture, and then on the other part, you place there the homeworks. Homework. This homework is different from the homework that will be considered 10% here. Yung homework na to, taken from whatever sources you want to use. It's not directed to you. Pero yung homework dito, sa 10% homework and sit work, they are homework that will be given to you directly during the discussion. So it may be a modification of the previous or the present problem that we are solving and that you need to solve. No? Pag sinabing homework dito, you have until the next day, the next meeting to submit it. But if it is sit work, you have only within the day to submit it. Okay. Now, whatever you have finished, you need to submit it. Otherwise, no, it will not be considered anymore. Yung homework, pwedeng mas matagal. Okay, so of course, we are practicing our outcomes-based education. But if you will be submitting late sit works and late homeworks, maximum grade that you will get is 70%. You will not get the 100% kung mga late yan. Pero if you submit it within the time frame, no, you will be given a maximum possible grade of 100%. Pero yung mga late, hanggang 70 lang. But of course, if it's less than even the full credit na 70, you will get a lesser grade. So I'm now telling you na kung kailan na-require yung homework na ito at sit work, you are to submit. Pero itong homework included in your notebook, no, you have till the 4th week. Iba tong homework na to kasi ito choice ninyo. Now, I ask you to solve 2 problems per week. Okay, but it is not just limited to this. Now, some wants to learn more or to practice more, so you may increase this, no, up to infinity, an infinity problem. Meron tayong infinity pool, so ito infinity problem. You can solve as many problems as you want, no, to practice yourselves. So you just have to document it while solving it so that you will be able to present it in our module 1 notebook. So lectures plus problems taken from any book to. Any book, any resources, internet resources or whatever. Basta 2 problems, a minimum of, walang maximum, minimum of 2 problems per week. Now, when I check it and I've seen 2 problems, so bali kung the first module, I must have 8 minimum problems kasi 4 weeks yun, 2 problems per. But if I can see that you're solving not just 8, but 10 or 15 or 20 problems, so it will mean a lot to me. That means you are giving this course enough time, no, for it. Kasi this is really a 5-unit course, no. Aside from this, probably which other course is 5 units in your program? Ano pa yung 5-unit course ninyo? Anybody?
Surveying po.
Okay, so surveying is also, but you have taken it, kailan ba yung surveying nyo? Last 2 terms, last 3 terms, ilang terms ago na yan?
Last term po.
Last term lang, 5 units yung surveying nyo. Now, if your number of units is 15 or more, about kung 5 divided by 15, 33%, no? Or kung less than 15, more than 33%. So about 30% of your grade will be taken from a 5-unit course. So that is how heavy this strength of material is, no? So 1/3 of your grade will be coming from this. So which means that if you get a grade of 1, chances are your average will be very high. In the same manner that if you get a grade of 5, chances are your average will also be very low. So it's up to you. For me, it's a lot easier to give a grade of 1 rather than to give a grade of 5. But of course, you must just be fair, or we must just be fair and give credit when credit is due. So as I've said, 1 credit will be if I can see that you're working hard to not just satisfy the minimum, but also improve it or escalate it to a greater number. Okay, so the project, the notebook, no, they are checked on the last week, 4th week yan. So 10% will be given to the project, 10% will be given from for the notebook. Yung homework sheet work, it is ongoing for the whole 1 to 4 weeks. Tapos yung quizzes din, no, ongoing yan for the 1st to 4th week. In this particular module, we'll have 2 quizzes. Quiz 1 and then quiz 2. Okay, so we will get the average and then that will be the grade for your quizzes. Pero isa lang ang module exam natin and it will be given on the 4th week. Have you seen the syllabus? I also uploaded the syllabus already. Nakita na ba yung syllabus?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, thank you for answering. Sino to? Sino yung nag-answer?
G2 po.
Ano? What is your name?
Leslie po.
Ano naintindihan? Dito?
Apo, ma'am.
Okay, so I would encourage you, no, whenever I ask you to, I ask a question, no, you need to answer kasi it will be very hard for us to talk to each other and understand each other if we will not communicate. So if ever I'm talking too fast or I'm giving the lecture too fast or whatever your concern, please right away tell it or say it. You have the chat box, but if you want, you can just raise your hands and I will call you. Kahit ano pa yung problema yan, we will be able to resolve it basta we have a nice communication with each other. Okay, so ito yung ating discussion for the first a few minutes of our meeting for today. So what I'll try to do is print screen this and then stop share muna. And then I will place it in our screenshots. No? By the way, from time to time, every meeting, no, I will give you some copy of the screenshot of the lecture that we have so that you can write it in your notebook. But it is also available. I will also give you a video, no, yung link ng video when we try to discuss this. So that yung mga na-late, there is still a chance for them to be able to catch up. Okay, so I hope you can see still the discussion. Okay, we are now ready to start the discussion. Okay, so let me go and take Asedera. Can you hear me, Asedera?
Present po, ma'am.
Okay, will you read the first definition of our mechanics of deformable bodies?
Mechanics of deformable bodies. Study of the relationship between externally applied loads and their internal effects on deformable bodies.
Okay, thank you, Asidera. Okay, so for the whole term, no, 11 weeks, we will be talking about this mechanics of deformable bodies. Okay, so study between the relationship according to him, no, from the definition, relationship between externally applied loads. No, external, meron tayong ina-analyze na external loads at saka internal effects, no, on the bodies. Pero not just any body. It is now considered deformable bodies. Actually, our main concern here in this second quarter of your 2021-2022 school year, we'll talk about mechanics of deformable bodies, which is the second, no? Kasi ito yung first, second, second division of our mechanics. So you have finished mechanics of rigid bodies. Now we are taking mechanics of deformable bodies, and later on you'll be taking mechanics of fluids. Okay. So the only difference between this strength of materials and then the engineering mechanics, which you have taken last term or last term, is the type of bodies that you are considering. Before, you consider only the rigid bodies, but now we consider deformable bodies. What are rigid bodies? We have this as our definition. Aguilar, will you kindly read?
Rigid body. Bodies which neither change in shape and size after the application of forces.
Okay, biruin nyo yun. Actually, there is really no such thing as rigid bodies because when bodies are applied with forces, they can never, let's say, be consistent in their shape and size. There will always be some kind of deformation. Pero in some cases, the deformation are very small or very minute that you try to neglect it. And actually, that is what you have been doing when you analyze mechanics of rigid bodies. You neglect whatever change in shape the body will be having after the application of forces. Kasi sobrang liit nila. But as I've said, there is really no such thing as rigid bodies. But before, you need to consider all bodies to be rigid. Why? Okay, because in engineering mechanics, you are only concerned with two things. Determining whether the body is in equilibrium or it is already in dynamic condition. Ibig sabihin, itong pag in equilibrium siya, it's still in static condition. That's why statics, mechanics of static condition. Ito dynamic. And in your dynamic, you have taken it up in your MEC 31. Ay, 31-2 yata. Ito MEC 13. Okay. This is a 3-unit subject. Well, this is a 2-unit subject. So for the whole engineering mechanics, you consider only the effect of the forces. And the effect is either in stationary, equilibrium condition, or in motion, dynamic condition. Yun lang yun. We do not care about the effects, internal effects on deformable bodies or in the bodies. So which means that this time it will change. We are now concerned not only on the forces acting on the body, but its internal effect. Ang daming klaseng internal effects that these bodies will be experiencing. The first type is really our stress. And the next is our strain. So in your first exam, we will just try to concentrate on stress. But before we analyze that stress, you have to make sure that you know how to draw the free body diagram. Aniko, Che, Emmanuel, will you read how to define free body diagram? Did I pronounce your surname correctly?
Yes po, Anicoche po. So, free body diagram, sketch of the isolated body showing all the forces acting on it.
Thank you very much. So that is how we define free body diagram. Kailangan marunong kayong gumawa ng free body diagram. Now, if your free body diagram is inaccurate, kumbaga kulang yung nilagay niyong force, you'll be able to solve the problem. You can solve a certain value, pero it will not be correct. Kung sobra o kaya kulang, you will never be able to solve the problem correctly. So the correct, in fact, is almost halfway. The correct drawing of your free body diagram leads to the correct solution. So the sketch of isolated body showing all the forces acting on it is our FBD. Okay. So much for this slide. Again, I will print screen and stop share. I'm just taking the print screen. But if you want to take your print screen by yourselves, okay lang. Mag-print screen din kayo of our lecture. But as I've said, you will be provided with the video of this discussion because it's being recorded. But it's up to you for your notebook, specifically. Okay, the next slide. Okay, so we are now considering the simple stress, the first type of internal effect. So our simple stress is defined in two ways: tensile stress or compressive stress. Simple stress is the unit strength of the body. And it's defined to be in the form of a formula, the force divided by the area. So stress is force divided by the area. Now, for our stress to be uniform, uniform internal stress, there are two conditions, no? Dapat yung force applied should be axial. Pag sinabing axial, perpendicular na passing through the centroid pa. Similar to this force P, acting towards the body, perpendicular na passing through the centroid pa. This is also another form of the force P that is acting, passing through the centroid and perpendicular to the area. So passing through the centroid and perpendicular to the cross section. That is the definition of our axial force. And when you divide it, it should be divided by a uniform cross-sectional area. The cross-sectional area in this case is really a rectangular area, or in this case, if you pass a cutting plane in that manner, that will really be a circular area. So, but it should be uniform. Whatever the cross-sectional area, triangle, rectangle, circle, pentagon, octagon, whatever, you must know how to consider or how to analyze the uniform cross-sectional area. Okay. The unit of the force is almost always expressed in newtons, and the unit of area is in square millimeters. So if you have Newton per square millimeter, no, for our stress, that will give us megapascal. But if you express it in Newton per square meter, that gives us Pascal. Okay, but if it is in kilonewton per square meter, that will give us kilopascal. And of course, megapascal can also be expressed in meganewton per square meter. But usually, we try to define megapascal in this way kasi yung area natin ng materials is not really almost very large. In most cases, they are quite strong, small. So we express it in terms of square millimeters rather than square meters. But just the same, that is our stress. Our stress can also be expressed in English units. Okay, the force may be expressed in pounds and then per square inch. So that is our PSI. It can also be expressed in KSI, that is kips, no? In kips per square inch. Pwede ring PSF, pounds per square foot. Okay, so those are different ways of expressing stress in English units. And in here, we have the units in SI, System International. Okay, so again, I will print screen this and we are now ready to stop share muna. We will be ready to discuss some problems. It's already 8 o'clock and I hope that everybody is here already. I have a 43. Okay, so most probably baka hindi na yun. Ito na yung complete set of students in this course, 43. I will now screen share. Okay, the first problem. Let's say you have two bars. We call it bar A and bar B. And we are to assume that the given loads are the maximum loads each bar can carry. Okay, then you will be asked, which bar is stronger? Yun ang tanong. When we talk about how strong the body is, we are talking about not just the amount of force or the amount of load each can carry. Because if bar A can carry 2,000 newtons compared to bar B's amount of load that can be carried is just 500 newtons, more likely it's bar A that carries or that is stronger. But it should not just really be the amount of force they can carry, but really the amount of stress they can be subjected to. So dapat you have to solve for the stress that can be carried by or by that can be sustained, no, by bar A and that of bar B. And stress is defined as P divided by the area. So it's 2,000 newtons divided by 60 square millimeters. And for bar B, it's 500 newtons, but the area needed to carry it is 20 square millimeters. Okay, will you kindly solve this? The stress that bar A and bar B can be subjected to, Arnaez.
Hello po, ma'am.
Okay, good morning, Arnaez.
Good morning po. Yung sa bar A po is 33.33 megapascal.
Okay, the unit
While-
is megapascal. Okay, while the
While
second
yung sa B po, 25 megapascal.
25 mega. Thank you, Arnaez, for solving for our stress. Okay, now after computing the stresses that each bar can be subjected to because they're carrying those maximum loads, definitely 33.33 is greater than 25. So in here, we can say that bar A is really our stronger bar. Pero not due to the fact that it carries the 2,000 newtons, but the fact that it can be subjected to a stress equal to 33.33. Can you follow? Naintindihan ba yung difference between what the load that they can carry, the amount of stress? Kasi I can change this problem. I can say that bar A carries a maximum load of 2,000, while bar B carries a maximum load of 500. But in order to carry 2,000, let's say I change this to 100 square millimeters, ang area needed to carry it. So if I will use 2,000 divided by 100, that gives me only 20 megapascal. So therefore, this time 20 is less than 25 megapascal. Therefore, it's now B that is stronger than A. So you do not just look at the load that it can carry, but also the stress. Okay, will you raise your hands if you understood what I had mentioned? We will count 14, 24, 22. Okay, so out of the 41 participants, 35 raise their hands. Ibig sabihin, konti lang yung hindi nakaintindi. But I will repeat for those who were not able to understand. So kung ang problema is for you to know which bar is stronger, dapat hindi natin titignan yung amount of the load that they can carry. Kasi kung titignan lang natin yung 2,000 at 500, palaging A ang i-consider natin stronger. Kasi yung 2,000 is always greater than 500. But it's not just it, no? Dapat titignan natin yung stress also. So if you use 2,000, divide natin kung ang area needed for bar A to carry it is 60, ang stress na kaya niyang i-sustain is 33. Whereas si B, 500 by 20, you get 25. So mas stronger si A kesa kay B if that's the case. Pero if I will change yung area ng A to carry 2,000, 100, it becomes 20. So maliit na yung stress ng A kesa kay B. Mapapalitan na. In that case, it's now B that is stronger. Okay, so thank you for raising your hands and we can now bring them down. So naintindihan sana ito mabuti. No? This is very important. Okay, again, I will print this. Print screen and then stop share and actually solve problems taken from our book. By the way, we are using the book by Cusalaas and Pytel, which is very related to Singer, no? Strength of Materials by Singer. So either books, no, that you have, kung meron kayo, you can use them as reference. Okay, again, I will continue sharing. Okay, for this series, by the way, series 1, okay, I have how many problems? Let's say 1 yan, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so tapos na yung first series natin. No, pero yung quiz 1 natin involves series 1 and series 2. Kaya Ang first exam natin most probably in the second week. Ano yung second week natin? So 15 to 19. Probably on Wednesday that week. If we have just met last last Monday, sigurado ko 17. But right now we will just hope that we can have our quiz number 1 on 17. Pero kung hindi, we have 19. So tentatively, by the way, all your quizzes are announced. And in fact, I'm announcing it right now. Your first quiz is tentatively scheduled on the 17th next week, Wednesday next week. The exam will just take 1.5 hours. So if our period for 17 is 4.5, we still have the 3 hours for lecture. 1.5 lang yung kukunin natin sa exam. And all your exam plus quizzes are monitored. So whenever we have exams, you are required to open your cameras during the discussion or the examination. In some cases, examination are purely online. It can also be examination that are given yung mga small sit works or it will be right away given na without mentioning it, so without any announcement or surprise. It will be a surprise sit work. Okay, ito yung problem. Sino na ba yung magbabasa? There are still 4 who are supposed to be raising their hands. Will you kindly bring them down? Tapos na yung kamay natin. Or people. So Modio, please bring them. Unless you have a question at grado. Pakibaba mo na yung kamay. So Modo, you have a question?
None po, ma'am.
Okay, so for the next person who will read the lecture, top na tayo kaya na is Basinal.
Morning, ma'am.
Okay, good morning, Basinal.
Determine the weight of the heaviest traffic lighting system that can be carried by the 2 wires shown if the allowable stress on wire AB is 155 megapascals and on wire AC is 125 megapascals. Given that the cross-sectional areas of wire AB is 70 millimeters squared and that of AC is 50 millimeters squared.
Thank you very much. Because this is written in a very large font, it will be very small na lang yung area for me to solve. That's why we have it placed here na medyo mas maliit yung font. Okay. So, upon reading the problem, you are asked to determine, weight of the heaviest lighting system. So when we say weight, that is a kind of a force. Tatandaan nyo, if you are asked to solve for the tension, the amount of force, the weight, the mass, if it is related to force, pag ang force ang tanong, isa lang ang sagot dyan. The only answer that you will be taking it from is the analysis of the free body diagram. So you must know how to draw the free body diagram. Weight of the heaviest lighting system. So it has to include the lighting system. But if I will take the free body diagram and cut it there, the forces acting will be the weight of will be the lighting system and the tension in the cable. Kaya lang, if these are the only 2 forces that will be involved, I do not know anything about the tension in the cable. It was not given. The properties were not given. So instead of taking the free body diagram of the lights on the traffic system natin, I'll take the free body diagram of this free body diagram of joint A. Okay? Kasi naman sa joint A, that is where the pin is, and the pin is being carried by 2 wires. Dito naka-anchor yung ating weight. So this is the weight of the lighting system, and it's anchored on AC and AB. By the way, AB and AC will be assumed in tension. Bakit? Because if I will cut it here, and these are all cables or wires, wires cannot really receive or cannot really sustain any compressive force. So they will always be in tension. So when we say in tension, they are acting away from the joint that you're analyzing. So if this is my free body diagram, and the angles here are given to be 47, and this is 64 degrees, I am now ready to solve for the weight. And if I have a system that is considered concurrent because they pass through a common point, actually, ang ating force system, if you analyze, dalawang klase lang. We have a force system that is coplanar in one plane at saka non-coplanar. Ibig sabihin, not on one plane. But both of these will be subdivided into three. We have concurrent. This one is parallel. And the other one is non-concurrent. Okay. So, bale, ang force system natin, 6. We have tatlo para sa coplanar. We have concurrent coplanar, parallel coplanar, non-concurrent coplanar. Tatlo rin sa non-coplanar. Concurrent non-coplanar, parallel non-coplanar, non-concurrent non-coplanar force system. So those are the 6 different force systems that we have. This is the first type. This is a concurrent na, pag sinabing concurrent, they pass through a common point. And they are coplanar. Pag sinabing coplanar, they are on one plane. Okay. Force system. Pag sinabing concurrent coplanar force system, in your mechanics, dapat we must have a maximum of 2 unknowns lang. Dapat 2 unknowns. Bakit dapat 2 unknowns lang? Kasi there are only 2 available equations from equilibrium. Summation of forces about x and about y are the 2 available equations from equilibrium. Kaya lang in this particular free body diagram, hindi ko alam ang weight. I do not even know AP and AC. So I have a concurrent coplanar force system, not with 2 unknowns, but 3 unknowns. So if this is a problem in your mechanics, this is non-solvable. It cannot be solved. Indeterminate ang tawag doon. Pero hindi na tayo nasa mechanics, nasa strength na tayo. Or mechanics of deformable bodies. And if that is the case, we have one additional requirement or one additional equation to be able to help us solve the problem. And that is the definition of our stress, which is P divided by the area. So even if we have 3 unknowns in 2 equations available from equilibrium, we can still solve the problem. Let's start. First, I will use summation of forces about y. Kasi ang kailangan natin yung weight. So if I use summation of force about x, w will not be a part of my equation. So dapat summation of forces about y. Okay. Bautista, can you form the equation using summation of forces about y equal to 0? Bautista, am I waiting for you? Sunshine? Okay, so since I cannot see you, and no, the only way for me to judge whether you do not know the answer or you want to excuse yourselves from being asked, you have to say something. Ma'am, I'm sorry, I'm not ready. So kaya, I still do not get the lecture or whatever. So kailangan sumagot kasi hindi ko maintindihan kung hihintayin. Okay? Kasople. Mario, Gabriel?
Yes po.
Okay. So you are willing to answer?
Yes po.
Okay.
So AC sine 47 degrees.
The force AC times the sine of the angle, 47 degrees. This represents the what? The vertical component, the AC.
Yes po.
Okay, it's showing up.
Plus AB sine 64 minus the weight po.
Sine din. 64 degrees. Exactly. Minus pala. Okay lang. Minus. Okay lang. Equals. Minus the weight equals 0. Or if you want to transpose W on the other side, it will be equals the weight. So in this case, it's minus. I have one equation, but I have three unknowns. So this is just equation 1. Thank you. Sino pa nga ba sinabi ko?
Kasople po.
Kasople. Okay. So tayo kay Kasople. Chua, can you form equation involving summation? Kasi I have three unknowns, no, in one equation. Ang kailangan ko lang yung W, hindi ko pa ma-solve yung W. Let me get another equation from equilibrium. Let's say summation of forces about X naman.
Ma'am, sorry, I'm not
What?
ready po.
Cifra? Mikhail Cifra?
Hello, ma'am. Force AB
AB
cosine 64 degrees
sine 64
is equals to force AC cosine 47 degrees.
Okay. This will be your equation 2. Equation 1, equation 2, but I have three unknowns. So I cannot just solve the problem still, no? Take note, the problem is solving for W. So how will you be able to help yourselves, no, solve this W? Any suggestion from the group? How to solve this? Colosso.
Ma'am, sorry, not ready po.
Take note, no, we have, no, from the stress equation, stress of AB as well as stress of AC, it's defined to be the force, which we call AB over the area. And this is AC force over the area. Ang area ng AB, let us try to look at the given, 70 square millimeters. Ang AC is 50 square millimeters. Okay, so that is the definition of our stress. Stress is equal to force divided by the area. Now, yung stress na AB, what is the stress of AB? From the given data, no, it's 155. If I will substitute 155 here, at saka sa AC is 125. Right away, I will be determining the force, maximum force that the wire AB can sustain, and that is 70 times 155. While the other one, the force on AC is just 125 times 50. So therefore, what is the answer here? Ronel?
Sa AB po is 10,850 po.
Unit?
Newtons po.
AC?
Sa AC po is 6,250 newtons din.
Okay, so those are AB and AC. Take note, the problem asks us to determine the weight of the heaviest lighting system. So traffic lighting system, and we designated it as W. Can you solve now W? Meron bang makakasolve ng W? Any answer? Raise your hands if you want to talk. Ikaw, Cuban? Okay. Yeah. Cuban, is that right? How did I pronounce your name correctly?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay.
Tama
Cuban.
lang po.
Sige. How will you solve this?
Ma'am, ang ano po, since po nakuha na po natin yung value ng AB and AC, i-plug in lang po natin sa equation 1 po.
Okay, so according to the suggestion from your classmate, because in equation 1, we will be able to solve for W because it's just in terms of AB and AC. Just simply substitute and you get W. Okay, so is there anybody who says otherwise? Or is there any other answer? Okay, so is there anybody who agrees? Can you raise your hand? Sino ba yung nag-agree? Dalawa Cruz. Okay, 13, 18, 19, 20. Okay, so there are more than half of the class agreeing already that since we have solved for AB and AC, it's just a matter of substituting it to equation 1. Okay, now my question is, if that is how you solve for W, what about equation 2? If I will get this 10, the value of AB na 10,850 and AC na 6,250, do you think this will be equal?
No
Are
po.
you sure that it will be equal? No,
No
you're
po.
not sure. So, sino yung sumasagot? I have several raised hands. Sino ba yung naka-on yung camera? Ay, yung ano ba yun? Yung mic. Anybody wants to say something? Oh. Del Rosario, do you want to say something? So sabi ni ni ayaw magpakilala, no po, no. Will you kindly elaborate? So ibig ba sabihin, when you substitute it here, it will not be equal. 10,850 times cosine of 64 is not equal to 6,250 times cosine of 47. So we were able to just simply substitute it in 1 to solve for W, but we were not able to satisfy the summation of force about X. So that is really the great mistake, no, that you can, let's say, do, no, when you simply substitute AB and AC. So that is the common mistake, no, in solving this problem. So in order for you to get correctly the answer, dapat both equations 1 and 2 are satisfied. So what we will try to do is first satisfy, no, or substitute, or let's work on these two equations, no. It's really a very grave mistake that when you substitute the values of AB and AC, you do it only to one equation. Dapat hiwalay. So what I am trying to say is that you need to solve for AB here in equation 2, which is AC cosine of 47 divided by cosine of 64. Yan yung AB. This AB will now be substituted to the equation 1, which will lead to AC sine of 47 degrees plus AB. Hindi na AB. It's now AC cosine of 47 over cosine of 60. AC cosine of 47 divided by cosine of 64 times sine of 64. Exactly equal to W. So what we will try to do is try to solve for W in terms of AC alone. AC lang. And of course, pwede rin, or dapat din, you have to solve for, again, from equation 2, you can also solve for AC in terms of AB. AC equals AB cosine 64 all over cosine of 47. So when you substitute this back to equation 1, it's not anymore AC. It becomes AB cosine 64 all over cosine of 47 sine of 47 plus AB sine 64 equals W. So dapat you, actually what we will try to have here is W sub 1 and this is W sub 2. So you solve for W sub 1 and W sub 2 in terms of AC and AB separately. Hindi pwede sa isang equation lang. Okay, now, who was it? Coronel, can you solve for W sub 1? Now is the time to substitute AC to this equation.
Yes po, ma'am.
Oh,
Wait
sige,
lang.
pakisolve. No, papalitan mo itong AC na to na 6250. Gawin 6250. And solve for W sub 1. Okay, tapos yung W sub 2, the second one, Cruz, Mark, Vincent. Pakisolve din W sub 2.
Okay na po, miss.
Sige, sino yan?
Third,
Sino ka muna?
Coronel po.
Coronel. So that what is W sub 1, Coronel?
13,310.
Newtons. Okay, what about W sub 2? The next one, Cruz. Ang gagawin naman dito, si AB ang papalitan.
Ma'am, wait lang po.
Sige, okay lang.
Ma'am, 14,000. 852.
Okay, thank you.
Okay na po. Sige.
Sige, ano, point ka lang.
0.45 po.
Okay, ito bang isa walang point? 13,310 point something.
Meron po, miss.
Ano?
0.36 po kung dalawa lang.
So, by the way, in your exam, when you try to solve things, no, at least you try to use 4 decimal places after the decimal point para medyo accurate yung inyong solution. Of course, if it is multiple choice, you have to choose the nearest. Okay, so hindi pwede sa isang problem, dalawang sagot natin. W sub 1 na 13,310 as well as W sub 2 na 14,852. So your problem or the problem asks you to determine the weight of the heaviest lighting system that can be carried by the 2 wires. So there should only be one governing W. What is our governing W? Anybody? Dapat isa lang ang sagot. Meron bang sasagot? Kuwi. Ano to? Kuwi? Kim? Kuwi. Yeah. Del Rosario. Ayun ba? Sige. You are going to talk kasi.
Good morning po.
Morning.
Yung 14,850
Madali
po.
lang. Sino ka ba? Si Kui? Ka ba?
Del Rosario po.
Del Rosario. Okay. So, Del Rosario, what is your answer?
The governing weight po is weight 2, which is 14,852.
Why did you choose weight 2?
Because
weight
it is heavier po compared to weight 1.
So, okay, so this is our problem, no? The problem states that you are to determine the weight of the heaviest lighting system. Take note, it does not end there in the period. Determine the weight of the heaviest lighting system, period. Hindi. Ang sinabi rito, determine the weight of the heaviest lighting system. That can be carried by the 2 wires. So take note, yung W sub 1, because we basically depended it to AC, that is our wire AC. So wire AC can only carry a load na 13,310. Whereas the other wire, which is stronger, can carry 14,852. So if you will choose the larger value, of course, that is really heavier kasi mas malaki siya. But what will happen to AC? Ang kaya lang ni AC si 13,310 eh. So therefore, what happens is that if it is greater than 13,310, it will already snap, it will already break, or it will already fail. So even if the problem asks us to solve for the heaviest weight that this system can carry, if there are choices to choose from, you have to use the smaller value. Bakit smaller? So that, isa lang ang reason behind that. so that your design will be safe. So it has to be 13,310.36 Newton. Do not commit a mistake in getting the heavier value. Because if you use the heavier, kaya nga ni AB, pero si AC, makapatid na yan. Kasi mas konti lang ang kaya niya. Naintindihan ba yun?
Ma'am, pwede pong paulit.
Okay, sino ka ba? By the way, when you are asking questions or whatever, ma'am, ganito, isabihin niyo man lang muna yung pangalan niyo so that I know whom I'm talking with or to.
Peray po, ma'am.
Ano ba yung pangalan niyo?
Peray po, ma'am.
Peray. Okay, Peray. So you are asking na bakit pinili yung mas maliit? Yung ba ang tanong mo? Okay. Kasi itong dalawang calculation ng weight 1 natin o weight ng traffic lighting system, they depend on 2 wires, no? Yung kaya nitong system na to nagdedepende dun sa dalawang wires. So we are to consider kung ano yung pinakamalaking kaya ng each of the wire. Kaya nga gumawa tayo ng equations na yung W is expressed in terms of AC lang at yung W is expressed in terms of AB lang. We did not use the equation in terms of AB and AC. Now, which will give us a larger W? Kung gagamitin natin to, one of you mentioned kanina, madali lang yan. Nakuha na nga natin yung AB, i-substitute nyo lang doon, nakuha natin yung AC, substitute nyo lang sa equation 1, may W na kayo. Yun actually ang pinakamali. Kasi pag yun ang ginamit nyo, you will get a greater value than W sub 1 and W sub 2 nito. Bakit? Kasi you are saying that both AB and AC will reach their maximum allowable stresses without compromising anything or without considering the whether they will reach or not the maximum load that they can carry. So, ang mas mabuti, I mentioned that you have to solve for W separately in terms of AC and AB. And that is what we did. How did we do it? Ginamit natin yung equation 2 to express equation 1 in terms of AC lang at yung susunod in terms of AB lang. So, sineperate natin yung kaya ni wire A, C, at yung kaya ni wire AB. That's why we have these 2 W's. Sa kaso, hindi pwede dalawa ang sagot sa isang problem. Dapat mamimili ka kung ano ba talaga ang ipapaload mo doon sa ating system. And even if the problem asks you to solve for the heaviest, no, nakalagay dyan, heaviest, you should not choose the larger value. Dapat smaller value. Bakit? Because of safety. Remember this, no? So we will have what we call our cardinal rule. In solving problems in your strength of materials, we will have to follow our cardinal rule. Ano ba yung cardinal rule? Cardinal rule states that the strength of any structure is dependent upon its weakest member. Take note of that, dependent on its weakest member. Hindi the strongest member, yung weakest. Kasi, kunyari, you have a certain building. Ang dami-daming poste ng building nyo. But one of the poste or yung column nyo was not properly cured or was not properly installed o kaya may problema dun sa posting yun. Okay. So if there will be an excessive amount of force coming from, let's say, an earthquake, a hurricane, or whatever, maunang masira yung posting yun. So dapat, alagaan mo yung weakest member. Huwag mo siyang i-overload. Kunyari, no, a more simplified example. Let's say you have a motorcycle. Ano picture ng motor yan? O parang bicycle, kahit na ano pa yan. Kasi hindi naman kotse na kasi ang kotse na ano I mean may park siya, may ano. Pero yung motor, let's say you have this motor or bicycle and you do not want it to be stolen. So lalagyan mo siya ng chain, no? Ang tawag doon? Lalagyan mo siya ng kadena. Okay? Mahal na mahal mo yung iyong bisikleta o yung motor mo, that you use the biggest chain that you can possibly buy, no? Ang laki ng chain mo, largest chain. Kaya lang, naubos na yung pera mo doon sa largest chain, kaya ang ginamit mo na lang na lock, padlock, is really yung mumurahin na lang. No? At saka mandaling mabuksan, ma-unlock. So what if there is supposed to be a certain hoodlum or a certain thief, no, na gustong nakawin yung bisikleta mo o yung motor mo, hindi niya paghihirapang lagarihin yung napakalaking mga padlock mo, yung mga chain mo. But rather, he will just pick the lock. O yun na lang ang unahin niya. So, the strength of any structure, itong ano mo, no, itong security lock mo, is dependent upon the weakest member. So, yung padlock ngayon, ang titry niya. While in the other side, kunyari, ay sige, para hindi manakaw yung bike ko, bibili ako ng one of a kind na padlock. Paano one of a kind na padlock? Eh, ang pangbukas lang niya, yung fingerprint ko. So, syempre, pag wala yung fingerprint ko, hindi yan mabubuksan. So, napakamahal ng padlock mo na binili. Pero, ginamit mo namang chain is supposed to be yung second hand. Tapos, meron pang kalawang yung iba. So, kung may magnanakaw, hindi naman niya hahanapin yung kamay mo para i-fingerprint yung padlock mo. So, what he needs to do is just to lalagariin na lang niya yung pinaka-pangit na portion o yung may mga kalawang na madali nang mabuksan. So, what I'm saying is this: the strength of any structure is dependent not on the strongest member, but on the weakest member. So, in relation to this, kung si AC ang kaya niya lang 13 at si AB ang kaya niya 14,852, so AC is now the weaker member. So dyan tayo magde-depend ng final answer natin para maging safe, hindi masisira yung structure natin. Sino nga ba yung nagtanong?
Pere.
Okay, Pere, did you follow my...
Opo, naintindihan ko na po.
Okay. So everybody, sige, everybody naintindihan mabuti ito, no? Kasi almost all problems in our strength of materials, ito yung analysis. Kaya nga tayo may cardinal rule, hindi lang bishop yan, hindi naman po, huwag naman. So cardinal rule states that the strength of any structure is dependent upon its weakest member. Not on the strongest, but the weakest member. Para din meron kayong asosasyon. No? Some of you belong to PICE, ACI, mga asosasyon nyo. And if one of your member is not really participating, it's possible that the entire organization will fail. So because you are dependent on the weakest member. So dapat everybody is working so that parang gobyerno, everybody. No, nagkakagulo tayo sa mga, let's say, health protocol, etc. So the strength of the nation is really dependent on the weakest member. So pag nag-election, kahit ano pa yung posisyon na yan, dapat lahat medyo magagaling yung pipiliin natin. Okay, so if you do not have any question, you can print screen this or just take a picture so that I can also go to the next problem. Print screen, stop share. Pwede na stop share, ha? Lagay ko dito sa ating nalagyan ng lecture. Okay, next problem. We have counted the number of problems that we will try to, kanina, about 6 problems or 7 with respect to this. Nakadalawa, nakailan na tayo. Isa pa lang pala. Okay, dalawa. The next problem, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we can finish this probably by next meeting. Pero let's take up problem number 2. Kindly read. Nasaan na ba ako? Dolendo.
Hello po, ma'am. Number 2, determine the required cross-sectional areas of members BE, BF, and EF of the given truss shown if the allowable stress in tension is 110 megapascal while the compression is 95 megapascal. A reduced allowable stress is compression is given to reduce the danger of buckling.
Ay, sandali. Thank you for reading. Wait a minute. I have a call. Wait. I will have to go back up. Huwag kayong aalis. Just, I will have to stop sharing. I have to take this. Okay. Can you see the slides now? I'm sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so After reading the problem, we are required to determine. Take note, ang kailangan natin dito, areas. Determine the cross-sectional areas of the member. Actually, from your mechanics, equilibrium of forces, there's really no mention of the area. So area can be solved from the equation that we have discussed right now, and that is simple stress. And the formula for simple stress is the stress is equal to P divided by the area. So we will be able to solve for the area if and only if you know these stresses. Actually, dalawa naman yung alam nating stresses. Stresses in tension, tsaka stresses in compression. So alam natin yung stress. We can solve for the area if and only if we know P. So problema natin ngayon is to determine the force applied on these members. Take note, BE, BF, and EF. So this is a truss na naka-hinge at A and roller supported at D. Okay. So it's some sort of a cantilever truss. At swerte tayo. All the required members are just placed in this position. Hindi siya nakakalat sa iba't ibang portion ng ating truss. So in order to solve this problem, you have a choice. In order to solve for the actual forces on our truss, dalawa yung method natin. Truss analysis natin. Ano yun? We have the method of joints, analysis ng truss natin using the method of joints. And the other one, the method of section. Okay. Assuming I will use the method of joints in solving for these forces on members BE, BF, and CF. Where will I start? In the method of joint, according to the process of solving problems involving joint, you can only start at a joint wherein there are two unknown members acting. So, hindi ka pwede mag-start sa A kasi there are three members applied there. In all of this, it's only G, joint G, as well as joint D, that you can start analyzing with. Kaya lang sa D, before you can start analyzing joint D, there is a need to solve for the reaction there. Kailangan mo yung reaction sa D. Okay? So, I have to start at G. Sa G, I will be able to solve for E, G, as well as F, G. When I analyze G, I will be able to solve for them. Kaso, these two are not required. So, kailangan I need to transfer to the next joint to be able to analyze the required members. Kaya lang, using the method of joints, sabi doon, you may only transfer to the next joint wherein there are only two members, unknown members acting. I cannot go to F kasi even if I was able to solve for FG, there are still three unknown members. By the way, why is it that in our joint method, we are limiting it to only two unknown members? Bakit? Kasi dalawa lang available equations that you can use. Summation of force about X at saka summation of forces about Y. Kaya nililimit lang sa dalawa. So therefore, after G, dapat pumunta ka sa E. And when you analyze E, because you already know EG, you will be able to solve for BE as well as EF. So, which means that you were able to solve for one of the required members. But you haven't finished it yet. So, kailangan after E, pumunta ka na sa F. That is the only time you can go to F because FE is already known. Dalawa na lang yung hindi mo alam sa F. And that is BF at saka CF. So, which means that if you use the method of joints in solving this problem, you will pass by the analysis of three joints. And you will solve 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 members. Kaya lang, out of the 6, only 3 are required. Pero you cannot right away go to the 5 and 6 without solving 1, 2, 3, 4. which means that this is about 50% effective ang solution. But of course, it will be able to solve for the required members. Mahaba yung method. Dumaan ka sa pag-solve ng mga problems o ng mga member na hindi mo naman kailangan just to solve yung required. So, bali nag-anim ang sinolve mo, 3 lang ang kailangan mo. So, I can say that it's 50% na sayang, no? Kasi sinolve mo pa yung BF. Pero hindi mo talaga masasolve yung dalawa pang huling BF if you're using the method of joints without passing through them. Luckily, we have the second method. Yung second method, medyo more direct. So what needs to be done is for you to simply pass a cutting plane on the unknown members. And all of them, swerte tayo na sa isang portion lang, will be cut. Then you have a choice. You can analyze either the left or the right, whichever is easier. In this case, the best is really to pass a cutting plane there and analyze the right member. When you analyze the right member, all cut members will be exposed, no? And the best is really to assume all of them to be in tension, meaning away from the right portion that you're analyzing. Meaning you're also assuming that they are in tension. It's better to assume all of the members' intention so that when you get a negative answer means what? Anybody?
Compression.
Ano po?
Compression.
Okay, so that is if you assume intention. Pero not all negative answer means compression. Pero all negative answer means your assumption is wrong. Tama ka in this case. If I will assume tension and I get a negative answer, it means compression the other way. Pero what if I assume it is compression and I get a negative answer? It does not mean your assumption is it doesn't mean that it will be in compression. Mali na nga yun. So, it always means your assumption is wrong. Okay. Para tumama ka palagi, always assume them to be in tension. Kasi negative answer means that whatever you assume it to be, it will be wrong. Okay. So, let us try to apply it in solving this problem. Kaya lang, I need to print screen and use a larger board. Stop share. Yan. No, this is exactly the same problem, kaya lang pinaliit. Okay. So we will be, what do you want to do in order to solve this problem? Kasi pwede nga itong isolve using joint method or mas madali yung method of section. Anong gagamitin natin? Anybody? Method of?
Section po.
Okay, section. So we need to pass a cutting plane. By the way, when you pass a cutting plane, it should be that you divide the entire truss into two. Hindi pwede ang cutting plane nyo, ganun lang. No, hindi naputol yung truss ninyo. It should be dividing the section into entirely two different, dividing the truss into entirely two different sections. Then you have a choice. We will analyze the right portion of section AA. So free body diagram of the right portion of section AA. So these are the members. By the way, if the members were not cut, no, they become internal pa rin yung kanyang force. So, ibig sabihin, yung EF will not come into my equation. Only BE, all cut members will be assumed in tension. So, away from the section that you're analyzing. And then we have two external loads. Isang 80, isang 78. Kilonewtons. So this is BE, BF, and CF. Okay, you have a choice. Where do you want to start? I will solve member. Anong unahin natin? Tatlo-tatlo yan. Anong gusto niyo unahin? Member? Any answer from the group?
BE po, ma'am.
Of course. Okay. Sino nga ba ikaw?
Kiben po.
Kiben. Okay. So, Kiben, you mentioned that we will start with BE. What is the best method to solve for BE? Dapat makagawa tayo ng equation involving BE alone. So, ibig sabihin, yung dalawa pang unknown numbers natin na BF at saka itong si CF, ayaw nating isama sa equation. So, what method will be used? What equation will be used? We are using the method na section, no? Method of section. Pero, how will I eliminate these two, BF and CF? Any suggestion from the group? I have to use summation of anybody? Okay. Meron ba? What is the best method to eliminate BF and CF? Okay, tatandaan nyo, if you want to eliminate two forces, katulad nito, BF and CF, the best way to eliminate them is to sum up moment at their point of intersection. If they are not parallel, there will always be a point of intersection. So in this case, you sum up moment about F. So wala na silang dalawa. Yun na lang, BE. Actually, ang natanggal, BE, CF, pati si AP, they all pass through F. So what rotate clockwise? Dalawa na lang ang nagro-rotate, si BE at saka si 78. What rotate clockwise? Sa F, we have 78 kilonewtons. Ang distance is 2 meters. Okay, what rotate counterclockwise? Si BE rotate counterclockwise. Kaya lang, you must know the perpendicular distance ng BE. Hindi pwede yung kahit anong distance lang. So what we will try to do, if you do not know the perpendicular distance, the best way is to resolve it into components. So B is going up to the left. So going up and to the left. Yung up ni BE will pass through F. So wala na siya. Yung BE horizontal na lang. What is BE horizontal? Okay, so what we need to do is to analyze the slope of BE. Direction naman from G to B. So this is 4 and that is also 4. O kaya this is 2, or since this is also 2, 2, and this is also to be divided, 2 din yan, 2 din yan. So therefore, B slopes how? How much is the slope of BE? 4 horizontal, 4 vertical, or what? Kung sloping siya na 4:4, pwede natin yang i-reduce into 1:1. Diba? Ano lang yun? Yung smallest. No? 1 square root of from Pythagorean theorem. Anybody? SP. Ano?
Square root.
Square root of 2. Okay. 1 square root of 2. So what is the horizontal? 1 times 1 over square root of 2. That is the horizontal component ni BE. Ngayon, ano yung perpendicular distance? The perpendicular distance is also 2. Kasi ito 2, ito rin 2. Actually, that is a 45-degree angle. Kasi 2, 2, ay 4, 4. Okay, so the perpendicular distance happens to be 2 equal to 0. Can you solve for BE? Del Rosario? Natawag na ba kita, Del Rosario? Hindi pa. What can we do with 2? Actually, we can cancel out 2. Every term has 2. Divide both sides by 2. So what is BE? Del Rosario? Transpose to the other side. Cross multiplying square root of 2. Ayaw. Dolendo?
Ma'am, yung lumabas po sa akin is negative
Dali
288,000.
lang, bakit negative? One rotate clockwise, the other one rotate counterclockwise. If you solve for BE, if you need to transpose one to the other side, it will be negative?
Positive po pala, ma'am.
Positive, ano?
Yung lumabas po sa akin is 110.31
Newtons. Ay, kilonewtons. Okay, so that actually that is 78 times square root of 2, diba? Kasi if you transpose to the other side, 78 na lang natira dito, cross multiply square root of 2. So it becomes 78 times square root of 2. Or 110.31, tama ba yun? Pareho ba yun?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so that is the answer. Meron na tayong BE. Kaso hindi naman BE ang tinatanong. Kailangan natin cross-sectional area. Okay, so how do you solve for the area of BE? By the way, your answer does not or should not only contain the magnitude, the unit, it has to also contain the designation. Is this intention or compression? Spiritu. You arrive at a positive answer. We assume it to be in tension away. No, tension away. We arrive at a positive answer, therefore it's really in Spiritu. It's really in tension. Okay, that is very important kasi when you solve for the stress, you use the formula stress is exactly equal to P over A. Ang force mo, 110.31. I will be able to solve for the area if I know the allowable stress. Eh, dalawa yung allowable stress ng bigay dito. One is 95, the other one is 110. What should be used? Pabros? I have to equate it to the stress. What should be used?
110 po, ma'am.
Bakit 110? Siyempre po, ma'am, kasi why did you choose 110 instead of 95?
Mas malapit po sa value.
Mas malapit sa value. It has something to do with the type of stress that the member is subjected to. We assume BE to be in tension. We arrive at a positive answer. Therefore, it is really in tension. When you use stress equation, it's P over A. Kaya lang, you have to use correspondingly. Ano yung allowable stress sa tension? And that is? Pabros?
110 po.
Dapat po, ma'am, 110. O, tatanong ko sa inyo, bakit 110?
Kasi tension.
Ayun, kasi in tension. Ang unit ng 110 is Newton per square millimeter. Kaya lang ang unit nito, kilonewton. Hindi pa consistent. So what should I do? Para makakuha ko ng answer na area square millimeter. Anong gagawin ko rito kung naka-kilonewton to? Pabros? Hindi sila consistent. The left side is Newton per square millimeter. This is in kilonewton per square millimeter. So anong gagawin?
Kakonvert po.
Paano? Convert.
Divided by 1,000.
Divided ba? Kasi kilonewton to. 110.31 kilonewton. Gusto ko maging newton. Anong gagawin ko? In 1 kilonewton, ilang newtons?
1,000.
So, i-multiply, hindi i-divide.
Okay po.
Okay. So, what is the area? Can you give me the area?
$110,000 po.
We have to cross, pagbalik ta rin to, di ba? It's 110.31 times 1,000 divide by 110. Anong sagot? Anong area? Pakiulit nga.
1,000 po.
1,000, di 110,000. Ano, sinabi mo? Ulitin mo ulit.
1,000 po.
1,000 lang buo. Ganyan.
Opo.
Walang point something?
Wala po.
1,000 lang talaga. Oh, ang unit ay you have to be kompleto ang sagot, no? Anong unit?
Newton po.
Area nga yan eh. Actually, the answer is 1,002. Ginamit ko ba calculator? Ano ba? 110.31 times 1,000 divided by 110.
1,002 po, 0.82.
1,002.82
po.
82. Anong unit? Area yan eh. Itong area. Ang unit ng area natin ay
M squared.
Square millimeter. Okay. So yan yung kailangan natin na area ng BE. Ito yung member BE na yan. 102.82 square millimeters. Okay. Yan na ang sagot. No? Kasi yan yung tanong sa problem. Eh. Kaya lang, what if I modify this problem? Kunyari, ako yung tagagawa nitong truss na ito. Okay. O kaya yung kumpare nyo. Pare, pakigawa nga ako ng truss na ito and it has to support 80 tsaka 78. Kaya lang, I want you to give me the area nito. So, ayan, nakumpit ko na yung area. Eh, paano yan, pare? Bibili ako ng gamit eh. What if I will be using round bars? Siyempre, pag bumili ka naman, hindi ka nang pupunta sa hardware na pagbilan nga ng bakal o ng kahoy o whatever na ang area 1,002.82 square millimeter. Hindi. You have to specify the material as well as the shape ng cross-section. What if we are considering round bar, round steel bar? Okay. Pag pupunta ka sa hardware, anong sinasabi pag bibili ka ng round bar? Para pagbilan nga ng round bar na ang area 1,002, hindi naman yun eh. Anong tinibigay sa anong kailangan mong ibigay dun sa bodigero o dun sa hardware man?
Diameter.
Diameter. Sino nagsabi nun?
Sifra po.
Sifra, diameter. Can you solve for the diameter, Sifra?
Wait lang po.
Okay, so what equation will you use? Ang area ng circle is defined to be what? Sutra pi.
Ay, sorry po ma'am. Pi r squared po.
Pi r squared. Or in terms of the diameter,
Pi over d over 2 squared.
Dali lang, dali. Pi
Over 2.
over 2 ba? Sabi mo kanina,
Ay,
pi
over
r
4 po pala.
Okay. So pi over 4 diameter squared is to be equated to 1002.82. Okay, now Sifra, will you try to solve for the required diameter in millimeters na lang? What is the answer? Sifra Michael.
$35.73 po.
5.73. Ma'am, madali lang yan. 35.73. I use the formula pi over 4 diameter squared and equate it to the required area. Nakakuha ko ng 35.73 millimeter diameter bars. Okay. What if, o yan na, sagot yan, ano, what if I will try to improve the problem? Pipili ka ng bakal. Pumunta ka sa hardware. 35.73 nga, pakibigyan mo ko ng bakal na 35.73 mm ang diameter. Anong sasabihin sa iyo? Biruin mo, sinabi mo sa tao dun sa nagtitinda, I want you to give me a steel bar, round bar, na 35.73 millimeters ang diameter. So you are asking him to give you a diameter, not just, let's say, accurate hanggang tenths of a millimeter, hanggang hundreds pa ng millimeter. Paano ba mini-measure yung diameter na accurate hanggang hundreds of a millimeter? Can you imagine how small 1 millimeter is? Ganyan lang siguro, mas manipis pa dyan ang 1 millimeter. Okay, tapos pag ginawa mong 0.7, so you are measuring it accurate as tenths of a millimeter. Eh hindi lang tenths eh, 0.73 pa ang sinabi natin. So hundreds of a millimeter. Okay, some of you are using, ano tawag doon? Sign pen. Have you used a sign pen? Nakagamit na ba kayo ng sign pen? Sa paggawa ng notebook nyo? Anong point ang ginagamit yung sign pen?
0.2 po.
Oo, hirap nun. Talaga, 0.2? Pero, na ano yan? Pilot? Anong tatak ng sign pen mo na 0.2?
Yung Unipen po.
Unipen, 0.2. So, parang napakanipis na talaga niyan. Usually, I use 0.4 or 0.5. No? So, biro mo yung sa kanya, 0.2. Ang liit-liit no. Parang hairline na lang yung, hair width na lang. Kasing kapal ng isang hibla ng buhok. No? Pero, so that is how thin no, yung 0.1 or 0.2 is. Tapos sabi mo 0.03 pa ito, accurate hanggang 0.03. Maiiyak sa iyo yung nagtitinda. Anong kailangan para ma-measure mo ganyang kanipis? Accuracy. Kailangan mo ba ruler? Malalaman mo na yan. Anong ginagamit na pang-measure para accurate yung measurement mo hanggang hundreds of a millimeter? Anybody? Siguro nung pre-pandemic, nakapag-physics pa kayo, nakapag-chem pa kayo. Anong measuring device ang ginagamit para ma-measure yung very small dimension?
Caliper po.
Of course, vernier caliper. Biruin mo, kailangan mo ng vernier caliper or ano pa yung micrometer. So, ang liit-liit nun. So, hindi pwede ganyan ang bibilin. Ay, sasabihin mo sa handyman o kaya dun sa hardware man. So, say what? So, you have to be knowledgeable of what are supposed to be the bar diameter available in the market. Let us say, kasi hindi nyo pa naman alam lahat, na available bars are just in the divisible by 2. Kunyari, divisible by 2. 2 divisible by 2. Okay, so ibig sabihin, may 34, may 36, may 38, may 32, ganyan, bar diameter. What should you use? Ang kailangan mo, 35.73 diameter. Eh, walang 35.73. Meron 34. Meron 36. What should we use?
36 mm po.
Bakit 36?
Round off po.
Round off?
Para din po yun po yung mas malapit sa 36 ma'am. Yung 35.73.
Ibig sabihin kung ang sagot ko 4.7. Yan, kung 34.7, 34.73. Mas malapit na to sa 34 kaysa sa 36. Ano pipiliin mo?
36 pa din po ma'am.
O bakit?
Kasi
Sabi mo, round, ano sinabi mo? Round off? Hindi pala round off ang ginagamit mo. Ano pala? Okay, anybody? May nagtataas ng kamay? Hindi ko lang alam kung sino.
Ma'am Merluza po.
O, Merluza.
36 po pa rin kasi para po pag mas malaki yung cross-sectional area, mas mabawas yung required na stress sa tension, ma'am.
And therefore, what will happen?
Ma-handle po ng stress yung round na object po, ma'am.
Okay, so actually, I'm looking for a very specific term na yun talaga ang basis natin. And that is, pag ginawa mo yun, ano mangyayari sa design mo?
Magiging safe po.
Of course, it will be safe. Kayo, supposed to be, ilang taon na lang o ilang terms na lang, after taking the board exam, you will be future engineers. No? Take note, kayo ang aming inaharap. Future engineers. Maari na kayo ay magpunta sa gobyerno, magpunta sa private practice or whatever, but you are supposed to be our future engineers. And what we are expecting from you is number one is the safety of your built structure. Kailangan safe. Kahit mahal, kahit pangit, kahit ano pa yan, it should be safe. Kailangan walang mamatay o walang mangyari sa mga structure na gagawin nyo. So first and foremost, it must be safe. So the process is not rounding it off. It should be to round up. Dapat pataas. Kahit na nga 34.01 yan i-round up mo yan kasi kulang yung 34. May 0.01 na. Dapat yung susunod na, 36 na. The process is to round up, not to round off, or not to round down, but to round up. Bakit? We want it to be safe. Your design should be safe. Question. Naintindihan ba yung sinabi natin?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes po.
Yes po, ma'am.
Salamat sa pagsagot.
Yes po.
Okay. Kailangan ito kasi ang pinakaunang gagawin nyo Kayo ang aming inaasahan. Gagawa kayo ng tulay. Tapos dadaan kami sa tulay o gagawa kayo ng yung dam na gagawin nyo o kaya kung anumang bahay o mall yung gagawin nyo, dapat you have to make sure that pag gumagawa kayo ng bahay, assume nyo na yung bahay na yun o yung building na yun o yung mall na yun ang pupunta your loved ones. Yung nanay nyo, yung kuya nyo, yung anak nyo, yung tatay nyo, yung asawa nyo. Na dapat, kahit mahal pa yan, dapat it should be safe first and foremost. Okay, so kaya kailangan hindi tayo magpipid. Dapat kung 35.73 ang nakuha, pwede yung 36. Hindi pwede 34. Kahit na 34.01 yan, 36 pa rin tayo. It has to be safe. Okay. So, tapos pagpunta nyo sa hardware. Sabi ng hardware, wala na kaming round bar. Di ba paano kung makakagawa nitong truss na ito? Wala na pala kayong round bar. Meron kami square bar. Okay. What should be the dimension of this square bar? Anybody? Sige, pwede naman eh, kahit na hindi round bar. Pwede naman square bar ang gamitin ko dyan. Because I'm simply using stress exactly equal to P over A. Hanapin ko nga kung nasa na tayo. 40 paes. 40 paes.
Yes po.
Anong dimension naman?
6 by 6 millimeters po ba? Ng square bar.
Ito 6 times 6.
Yes po.
So, how did you solve 6? Kumbaga.
Binase ko lang po doon sa 35.73 mm na diameter. Ay, ginamit ko lang po dito sa... Hindi po ba ganun?
Actually, ang kailangan natin ito eh.
Ah,
So, dapat, pwede rin nga yung solve mo kasi ginamit mo rito. Paano kung hindi natin sinolve yung round bar? Saan mo kukunin yung sagot? Ito kasi may clue ka eh. 35. So, gawin mo na 36 by 36. Pero dapat, what should be done is equate the area ng square sa required natin na area, 102.82. What will be your x? Tsaka hindi 6 times 6, dapat 36 times 36 siguro. Kasi 6 times 6, 36. Ang area, ang kailangan natin, 1,002.82.
31.67 po yung
So
size.
it has to be the square root of 102.
Yes po.
So ilan yun?
31.67
Okay. Mo,
millimeters.
31.67 lang. Hindi na kailangan ng
Pala.
36. Okay,
Yes
naintindihan ba?
Yes po.
Okay, pero kung walang 31 at tigtuturi ng available na dimension ng square, we can say what? Say use ilan? Walang 31.67, sabihin sa'yo ng
Ay,
kita. Ano
32 po.
Of course,
32.
dapat 32 mm by 32 mm.
Mm po. Yes po.
That is if it is a square bar. Naintindihan ba?
Yes po.
Yes po.
Maliwanag. Okay, what if, okay ang dami ko ng what if. Ito isa, dalawa. What if tatlo, I do not have a round bar or a square bar, but what I have are pipes. Ibig sabihin, they are circular object, kaya lang may butas. What should be the diameter? At yung mga pipes, pag sinabing yung pipe natin ay yung heavy duty pipe o yung schedule 40 pipe, kasi dalawang klase ang mga pipes eh. Yung GI pipe, GI, ano ba ibig sabihin ng GI? Anybody? It's supposed to be galvanized iron. So bakal siya, galvanized iron pipe, hindi siya plastic, schedule 40. Yung schedule 40, mas makapal yun kesa sa schedule 20. Yung schedule 20, GI pipe din siya, pero madalas ginagamit lang sa electrical. Diba pag may nakita kang building, makikita mo may mga tubo, tapos sa dulo, naka-ikot na ganyan. Tapos nandiyan yung dalawang wire. Tapos may isang kumukulot ng tawag yung ground wire. Have you seen this?
Yes po.
Okay, salamat naman na nakakita na kayo. Etong mga GI pipe na to, hindi sila schedule 40, schedule 20 lang. Kasi, syempre, pinoprotektahan lang nila yung wire sa loob. Whereas schedule 40, mas makapal to. Madalas, ginagamit ito nung wala pang na-inventong yung mga PVC pipes sa tubig. Schedule 40, ginagamit ito sa tubig. Water. O2. Ng Maynilad. O kaya kung ano man yung water district sa inyong lugar. So let's say ang schedule 40, ang thickness ay Let us say ang thickness ay 5 mm. What should be the diameter outside? Anybody? Can you compute that? How do you get the area shaded and equate it to 1002.82? Area effective. How do you get the area effective? Ganzon, do you have any clue, Ganzon, on how to compute the area? If you know the outside diameter and the inside diameter, how will you get the effective area?
Pwede po kaya ma'am kunin yung area po muna nung yung gamit yung 5 mm tas add po yung area po na gamit yung 1002.
Line of thinking. So sabi mo, gagamitin ko yung area na 1002. Ito yung nakukuha natin pag diameter 1002. Are you talking about this one? Bali sa ano nyo, sa subject. How do you get the area of this figure if you know that it is the area of the big circle and it involves the area of the small circle? So how do you get the effective area? Area of the big circle minus the area of the small circle. Diba? Yan lang yung effective area. So the area of the big circle is pi over 4 diameter out squared. What is the area of the small circle? So that we can equate it to 1002.82. Anybody who knows the area of the small? Dito ka na lang ilalagay. Ano? Grado? Jacob. With 2. With 2. What is the area of the big circle? So it's pi over 4 diameter out squared minus area of the big circle. Small circle. Pi over 4. What is the diameter in? What is diameter in? If the diameter out is D out, anong diameter in if the thickness happens to be 5? Do you know? This is diameter out and this is diameter out minus, kung 5 ito, 5 din ito, so minus, ano?
Minus 10 po.
Of course, minus 10. Kasi yung ibang ginagamit, minus 5 lang, hindi dapat. It's diameter out minus 10. And then you square. Can you solve this? What is diameter out? So the area effective is the area of the big circle minus the area of the small circle. And the area of the big circle is pi over 4 diameter out minus the area of the small is pi over 4 diameter out minus 10 and then 1 to the square. Naintindihan ba to? Can you solve this? Sino ba yung sumagot? Grado? Are you the one who answers? Sino ba yung...
Jacob po, ma'am.
Oh, Jacob. Can you use your calculator and solve this?
Wait lang po, ma'am.
So,
Ma'am, 68.84 po.
Yan, 68 point.
84.
What about the others pa? 82. Pare-pareho ba kayo ng sagot? Kasi baka naman, para ma-double check natin. Do you have the same answer? 1002.82. I can factor out 5/4. Okay. Okay, so that is how to get our outside diameter. If we have a pipe structure ng pipe, no, o pwede rin naman tubular. Kasi meron din naman tayong square o kaya rectangle, depende, and some thickness. Basta you know how to solve for the area of the shaded figure, you'll be able to solve for the requirement. No, it's just P/A. Question. Asa isa pa lang itong maba yung discussion natin. We still have to solve for the other two members. Okay, if you do not have any question, I will again print
Ma'am?
this question.
Paano po nakuha yung diameter out po?
Bakit hindi ba chinik nyo? So if we will, sandali. I will just print screen kasi wala na akong mapagsulatan. Nahulog na ako. So I'll just print screen this. Paki-print screen nyo na ha kung ano. Tapos stop share. And then I'll place it in our discussion board. Tapos para maliwanag yung pag-discuss natin, there is a question asked by, sino ka nga ba?
Gito po, ma'am.
Gito. Para medyo maputi ay maliwanag din natin. Okay. So you're asking me that if we are using a pipe-like structure that will contain an area of 1,002.82 square millimeter. So the area effective is just the area of the big circle minus the area of the small circle. Okay, we will denote the area of the big circle with diameter out. Or just D na lang para maikli. I just call it D, capital letter D. And for the inside diameter, because this is 5 mm, the thickness, and this is also 5. So this is D minus 10. Okay, so the effective area is 5/4 diameter na malaki squared minus 5/4 inside diameter is D minus 10 squared. Are you following?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, ngayon, simplify natin to. I can factor out 5/4. And then I will have D squared minus the quantity D minus 10 quantity square equals 1002.82. Okay, so this will be cross multiplied. Tapos yung natira dito, D squared minus, I will expand this. Ano ba ang square nito? D squared twice the product minus 20D plus 100. Exactly equal to 1002.82 times 4/5. Tama ba? Naintindihan ba? Kaya mas multiply lang to sa kabila. Okay, simplify. Okay, D squared. Okay, distribute the negative sign. Minus D squared plus 20D minus 100 equals, ito simplify na natin. What is 102.82 times 4 divided by 5. Ang sagot, 1276.83. This cancels. So we get 20D equals, plus transpose this to the other side, minus maging plus 1376.83. So ano ngayon ang D? I-divide na lang natin sa 20. Ang sagot, 68.84. Ano ba sagot kanina? Pareho ba?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so tama yung ginawa niya kanina. He was able to solve the outside diameter to be 68.84. But this is how to solve it in step-by-step procedure. Did I answer your question?
Yes po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Is there any other question? Okay, so tapos na tayo sa ano ba natapos natin? BE pa lang, di ba? Tatlo yung kailangan dito. Kaya lang I will erase kasi wala nang masulat. Print screen, stop share. Okay, yung iba naman. Try to solve. By the way, if you do not understand anything, you might as well say it right now because we will not be going back to the same problem anymore. So, kailangan understood everything. Okay, tapos na tayo sa BE. We are now going to solve for BF. We still have our cutting plane there and we're analyzing this section. And what we did is consider this as our cut portion. Tapos meron tayong dalawang external lobes. Okay, this is 78. This is 80. This is F, G, and this is B. What is this? B what? BE. Tapos na tayo sa BE. Now we go to BF o kaya CF. What do you want to solve next?
BF po, ma'am.
Okay, BF. What do you think is the best way to solve for BF?
Summation of moments po.
Saan?
G.
Of course. Dapat, if you want to solve for BF, you eliminate BE and CF. And the only way to eliminate them is to look at the point where they intersect. They pass through a common point. So you just simply have to sum up moment about G. Tanggal na silang dalawa right away. If I'm summing up moment about G, what? Rotate clockwise. But rotate clockwise is BF. Kaya lang, mahirap hanapin yung perpendicular distance ni BF. Ito dapat yun. So, if you do not want to look for the perpendicular distance, you just have to simply place the components of BE, vertical and then horizontal. Yung horizontal tatama sa G, yung vertical na lang. But I need the slope of BF. What is the slope of BF? 2 by 4. When I say 2 by 4, it can be reduced to 1. 2 yan, diba? Ito 2. Tapos ito 4. Kaya 2, 4. But it can be reduced to smallest form. 1, 2, square root of? Anybody?
5.
Of course, 1, 2, square root of 5. So anong kailangan ko? Vertical component. What is the vertical component? It's always the force times a certain force factor. Ano yung force factor? Kung vertical, dapat vertical din. So ano yan? Yung denominator, di na pinag-iisipan. It's always the hypotenuse. Pero kung vertical, vertical. Kung horizontal, horizontal. Yung horizontal, hindi na. Tama sa G. So yung vertical is?
2. Ay, 4 po. Ay,
Okay.
tama po, tama po. 2 po.
Okay, 2. Kasi
Sorry
sinimplify
po.
lang natin. Naintindihan na, pwede na naman 4 yung gamitin mo. Kaya lang 2, 4 square root of 16 plus 4, 20. Ang haba. So we use the smallest. Tama ba? Okay,
Yes
I
po,
need the
ma'am.
perpendicular distance. Perpendicular distance from G. Dito tayo nagmamumig sa G. Ito si B, F. Kaya lang yung vertical na lang gusto natin. Ito. So BF times 2 over square root of 5 is BF vertical. Ano yung perpendicular distance?
2 po.
2. What rotate counter? Sa F. What rotate sa G? What rotate counter sa G? Yung 78, wala yan. It passes through G eh. So ito lang yung nagro-rotate counter. Yung BF clockwise, yung 80 counterclockwise. Ano perpendicular distance?
2 po.
Equal to 0. So if you simplify this, 2 cancels with 2. So BF will be 80 transposed to the other side times square root of 5 over 2. So how much is that? Sino na ba ang sasagot? How much is that? Laksamana. Gina, Laksamana. Mendoza, Cedric.
89.44 po, ma'am.
59.44. The unit is in kilonewtons. Okay. So is it in tension or compression?
Intention po, ma'am.
Tension. Okay. So you try to do the same, no? Solve for the area using stress exactly equal to P over K. Tapos, the last one, CF. How will you solve for CF? Jacob? Can you solve for CF, Jacob? I told you, isa lang ang gagawin. Pag nagsusolve ka ng CF, kumbaga, eliminate the other two unknown members. Paano? You just simply look at the point where they intersect. So I have to do what, Jacob? Summation of? Saan ba nag-intersect si BF at saka si BE?
Moment po.
Saan?
Sa B po.
Siyempre, sa B equal to 0. What rotate clockwise about B? Okay, tuloy mo na, Jacob. What rotate clockwise?
$80 po.
80. Anong distance?
$2 po.
Okay, ano pa?
$78 po.
Anong distance?
4 po.
Okay, ano pa? Kung CF na to, will also rotate. Anong distance?
4 po.
Ano? Ano?
4 po.
Of course. Kasi horizontal siya, dapat vertical ang distance. Equal to 0. So what is CF? Can you solve? Ano pangalan, Jacob?
Negative 118 po.
Negative 118 means what?
Compression po.
Of course, 118 kilonewton and in compression. So if you use stress exactly equal to P over A, We will not use 110 kasi hindi naman siya intention eh. It's what? To solve for the area, what should we use? Yung allowable stress in compression na 95. Times 10 raised to 3, just to convert it to Newton so that you can solve for the area. Area will be in square millimeters. Tama ba, Jason? Ay, Jacob?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so what is the answer?
One two four 2.11 po.
Ano ulitin?
1,242.11 po.
1,242. Okay. So you just use your calculators to verify it. Question. Is there any question? Okay, so I will give you your first homework. Number 1. Module 1, homework 1. Okay, first is research. Okay, research available diameter for round bar at saka deformed bars. Iba yung round bars at saka yung deformed bars. At saka yung dimension ng square bar. So 1, 2, 3. I-research nyo from, pwede magtanong, tumawag kayo sa mga hardware na malapit dyan sa inyo. Ano po yung available na diameter? O kaya you can use the internet, determine the available round bar, tsaka deformed bars, and then square bars. Ang mga deformed bars, what is the difference between round bar at saka deformed bars? Ang round bars, yung smooth, no? Pero ang deformed bars, bilog din siya, kaya lang may deformities. This is being used to have as a reinforcement sa reinforced concrete. So, tapos yung square bars, yun ang pinapa-research. Ano ang available bar diameters? Kung mare-research nyo rin yung presyo, pwede. And also the price. Kunyari, ang round bar na 10 mm, ang presyo ganito. Ang deformed bars na 10 mm, 12 mm, kung ano mga available diameters. Okay, number 2. Homework number 2. So by the way, number 1, naka-table form yan ha. Ano yung area, kung ano yung makikita nyo sa internet. If you can get also the weight, no, the diameter, the magkano, etc. All that you can ask for. Tapos dito, what we did is solve for BE, BF, and CF. So now I want you to solve for AB and EG. AB and EG. At saka FG. AB, EG, FG. Imbis na itong tatlong nito, it will be replaced by AB, EG, FG. So for the area. That is homework 1, module 1. Pag sinabi kong homework, you are given 2 days. So Wednesday ko binigay, kailangan sa Friday, may sagot na yan. And you have to submit it. Now, if you will not submit it on Friday or before Friday ng 7:30, kasi 7:30 ang pasok natin, late submittal, matatanggap naman. Kaya lang highest possible grade is 70. If this homework is worth 40 points, 20 dun sa research, 20 rito sa calculations, 70% ng 20. Kung malilate kayo, highest possible score is 4 times 7 to 8, 28 na lang. Mga 30 over 40 or 28 over 40. Can you follow? Okay, I will print screen this. At saka save. When I say research, I do not want you to go out, ha? Hindi kayo punta sa hardware, tapos tanong ng tanong. You can do the walking through your cell phone or to the internet para hindi kayo subject to COVID. You just have to make a way in order for you to learn. No, kasi usually if you are a newly graduate, no, and you enter a firm, ang unang paggagawa sa inyo is to estimate. Siyempre, mabibilang nyo yung bakal, pero once you have counted or determined the bar, kailangan alam nyo kung magkano. Kunyari, ang first basic lang na trabaho nyo is to create a fence. Gagawa ka ng fence. So, syempre, may mga bakal yun, may mga poste rin, kahit maliit lang yung gate or yung fence na gagawin nyo, dapat mabilang nyo yung bakal na bibilin nyo, yung konkreto, yung hollow block, etc. Pero nasa bakal pa lang tayo, so you must be able to estimate. So, estimator ka, quantity surveyor or quantity survey. Sinisurvey mo kung ilan. Pero kailangan may presyo din. So, ngayon pa lang kasi mag-ano na kayo. Pwede nyo sabihin that we have a project, gusto lang magtanong namin sa inyo. At syempre, pagka-graduate namin, sa inyo rin ako kukuha ng materials. So, you will be their future client. No? Or kasi kayo, graduate kayo, makakapasa kayo sa board exam, magiging engineer kayo. Pag mabait sila sa inyo, binibigyan kayo ng presyo, kahit nag-aaral pa lang kayo, natutulungan niya kayo sa studies ninyo na bubuksan nila yung isip nyo, magkano ba ito, ano ba mas mura, etc. etc. So ngayon pa lang, you are getting ties, no, to the community, coordinate kayo o collaborate kayo sa kanila. Okay, so that's why this is your homework. Okay, homework 1, number 1, number 2. Number 2. Okay, number 3. Itong homework number 3 naman na ito ay pangmatagalan. Actually, for the whole term. I want you to plant a tree. Kung bakit naman nasabi ang planting a tree sa strength of materials? Okay, lalo na if you are located in a certain saan ba kayo ngayon? Province or meron kayong paglalagyan, I want you to plant a tree. Okay, ma'am, anong tree? Kahit anong tree. No, ma'am, pwede ba yung mango tree? O ba pwede kahit anong tree? But of course, if it is possible for you to get seedlings na kuko, kasi ito na lang, mga siguro available dyan sa coco o yung buko. Okay. Alam nyo ba how much is syempre, pag nakapagtanim ka ng buko, naging puno yun, at then the tree can give you coconut, magkano ngayon ang buko sa inyo? If you buy a buko, how much is it? Walang bumibili ng buko, libre lang ba sa inyo buko?
Hindi po.
Hindi. O, sige. Ikaw
Depende, ma'am, sa laki ng baso.
Depende pala sa laki. Meron pala, no? O, sige. Magkano yung medium?
Pag sa plastic, ma'am, mga 5 piso po.
Sa plastic. Ibig sabihin na process na, nabuksan na kayod na, etc. etc. Ikaw talaga, tinatamad ka magkayod. Okay, so 5 piso. What if it is buong buko? Wala ba sa inyo bumibili ng buong buko?
25 po ata.
Ayan, sa kanila. Saan ba sa inyo?
Sa Laguna po.
Sa Laguna, 25, 25 pesos ang isang buko. But of course, you still have to get it, go up the tree and cut it, at saka tas putol-putulin at taga-tagain bago ka makapag-25. Pero ang isang buko na puno, ilan ba ang bunga niyan? Pag tingala nyo dyan, meron ba kayo nakikitang buko? sa kahit sino sa inyo? Anybody who can see a buko tree or a coconut tree? Wala, kahit isa. Wala nakakita ng puno ng nyug dyan. Who is staying in the province sa inyo na nakikita kahit isang buko na puno na coconut tree?
Ako po, ma'am. Chua po.
Chua. Okay, very good, Chua. So,
Yes po.
nasaan ka, Chua?
Ilocos Norte po, ma'am.
Ilocos Norte. So, ibig sabihin, nasa, ano ba tawag mo? Town proper ka ba o nasa bukid or whatever?
City po, ma'am.
Nasa city ka, pero may nakikita ko pa rin buko na puno.
Opo, ma'am. Madami po.
Okay. Ay, madami. O sige, tingnan mo. Pero, napansin mo ba sa isang buko, sa isang coconut tree, ilan ang buko? May
Minsan
10
po,
ba?
ma'am, around 10 po. 10, ma'am.
10. So, sa isang bunga pa lang yun, 250 ka na. Kasi sabi ni 25 daw ang isang buko. Meron ka ng 250. Ako hindi ko rin alam kung ilang beses magpapalit ang bunga ng puno. I mean, pag naubos mo na yung 25 na, 10 buko na yun, wala na ba? Kunyari, after isang taon, wala nang, hindi na ba yung bubunga? Sino ba ang
Bubunga pa din po.
Bubunga pa rin. Pero will it take
Opo.
1 year pa? Sa isang taon na ba yun ulit?
Depende po, ma'am, pag inaalagaan po. Or kung yung nandun lang sa tabi-tabi po.
So pagka inaalagaan, mas madami. Mas madaming
Opo, ma'am.
beses. Siguro mga twice a year bubunga siya. Ganun ba yun?
Opo, ma'am.
Okay. So kung twice a year, 20, magiging 20 na yung buko. So 500 a year, 500 pesos. Okay, 500 pesos ang tinubo mo. Pero ilang taon ba magkakabunga yan? 10 taon? Meron pang bunga, etc. etc. I'm just trying to count, no? How much will it cost you to plant and what will you gain from it? Actually, kahit namatay na yung puno ng buko, no, yung coco lumber. Have you seen a coco lumber? Nakakita na ba kayo ng coco lumber? Kasi you are supposed to be civil engineers to be. Okay. At gagamitin nyo saan ang coco lumber sa tingin nyo? Saan gagamitin ang coco lumber? Wala bang nagko-construction sa tabi mo? Sa tabi-tabi?
Pwede po sa sa roof framing po.
Roof framing. So, ibig sabihin, permanent structure siya. Ginawa siya sa roof framing, tapos forever na siyang nandun. Okay. Pero usually kasi ang coco lumber, yung mga, hindi pang permanent. Yung scaffolds o yung ang forma lang, formworks. Diba, bago ka magbuhos ng poste, kailangan meron kang plywood at nakaipit siya ng coco lumber. Have you seen that?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yan yung ginagamit. So, medyo mahal din ng coco lumber. So, what I'm saying is that pag nagtanim ka ng buko pa lang yan, kumbaga, ilang taon pang may buko, afterwards, at di na siya magbunga, you still have coco lumber. So, kung magtatanim ka ngayon, yung isa pa lang na bilang natin, isang tree, kung paano kung 10 yung tinanim mo. So, what I'm saying is that when you plant a tree, you will always be on the gain. I mean, you will gain on that side. So, kaya yung homework nyo is for you to plant a tree. Okay. Yun ay coconut. Pag kayo nag-plant ng mahogany, anybody who knows mahogany?
Opo, ma'am.
Okay. Ano yung mahogany? Ano yung tsura ng mahogany?
Kadalasan po, ma'am, straight lang po.
Okay, very good. Sino ba itong nagsasalita? Hindi ko makikita-kita dito. Sabi ko sa inyo, when you talk...
Chua po, ma'am.
Okay.
Chua po.
Chua, ikaw yung taga Ilocos.
Ilocos po, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes po,
so
ma'am.
alam ni Chua, ni Mr. Chua, from Ilocos region, kung gaano ka importante or gaano. Alam mo ba kung magkano ang mahogany tree? Na gagawin mo, kunyari, i-harvest mo na yung tree, mahogany. Kasi hindi naman yata nakakain yung mga bunga-bunga nito. It's not kasi a fruit, no? It's a, tree ang tawag yan. Parang, This can be made into a furniture, etc. Pero ang isang mahogany tree na medyo matanda na, let's say 20 years old na, pwede yung ma-harvest at mabigyan kayo ng timber na made up of mahogany. If you try to search the internet, mahogany furniture, ang gaganda ng furniture na nagagawa sa mahogany. At hindi naman siya medyo mahal. Pero of course, kung tatanim ka ng nara, kamagong, yung yakal, no? Those are the trees that are, those are the timber that are considered, hardwood. Yan, pag ginawa mo, nagtanim ka ng mga trees na considered as hardwood, nara, kamagong, etc., you will, when you harvest them, ay napakamahal ng nara na yan. Napakaganda kasi yan. Even mabaha, maulanan, they will not really masisira, mabubukbuk agad. Okay, so you plant a tree and 20, ilan taon na ba kayo ngayon? Meron ba kayong 20? Are you 20 and above?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes,
kung 20 and above kayo, 20 years from now, 40 and above kayo. So, alam nyo kung magkano isang mahogany tree pag na 20 years old na. Okay, so if you want, you can search the internet kasi meron din namang magkano. But of course, we do not want to cut the trees. That's why I am asking you to plant muna bago kayo mag-cut. So, yung mahogany is about 50,000 per tree. 50,000 pesos, isang tree lang. Kaya lang, it will take you maraming years. Kaya nga 20 years from now. Pero 20 years from now, baka hindi na yan 20,000. Kung magtanim ka ng 10, magkano na yun? Kung 50,000, 500,000 meron ka after 20 years. Pero, kung di 10, kung 100 ang tinanim mo, edi milyonaryo ka na. So what I'm saying is that there will be always some gain when you plant a tree. Take note, hindi pa natin minimeasure ilan yung oxygen na makukuha natin sa kanya, yung shade na mapoproduce niya sa mga ibon, sa mga iba't iba pang klase. So that's why yung number 3 assignment ninyo is to plant a tree. Paano naman ako magpa-plant? Nasa city ako. Okay lang. You try to plant it first in the, syempre hindi naman agad-agad magiging puno yan. You plant it first in paso-paso and then when somebody from your side goes to the, sa province, you can transplant it. But I want you to plant a tree. That should be in your bucket list. Naintindihan ba yun? Kahit anong tree yan, pwede. Question. Okay. So how will I check yung plant na tree? Siyempre, meron tayong before and after. Okay. Today, this week is first week. So you have first week, second week, kung anumang week na makahanap kayo ng seedling, then you plant it o just meron kayong 1 or 2 pictures while planting it, and then after 11 weeks, we will see kung ilang dahon na ang meron niyang tree niyo. Meron kayong before and after. Madali naman lokohin si ma'am, kahit ano na lang, kahit di ko tinanim, okay lang. Pero I just want you to experience, what will it, that it will be a joy. That students will know the importance of this tree. I can only tell you yung economics of the tree. Pero napaka-beyond economics, napakaganda ng mangyayari dyan sa lugar ninyo if you always have to plant. Kahit ano pa yan, pwede kang mag-plant. So pag vacant kayo, wala kayong ginagawa, try to tend to your garden, tend to your farm, and improve the way of living ng ating Pilipino. So 3 1, 2, 3, research, solution, calculation, and number 3, plant a tree. Question?
Miss Espiritu po.
Hindi ko marinig.
Espiritu po, Miss.
Sige, Espiritu, question.
Miss, is there an alternative to plant the tree po, Miss? Kasi currently po nasa abroad po ako and then not possible po to plant a tree po dito po.
Nasa suburb ka.
Hindi
nasa
po.
condo?
Currently po nasa UAE po ako.
Bakit bawal ba magtanim sa UAE?
Nakatira po ako sa city, gitna ng city. Pero kahit po lumabas po ako ng city, desierto po meron po.
So, sige, hahanap tayo ng tawag doon?
Pero na lang po, plant na lang po.
Pero if you want, I can think of one. You can ask, do you have any family here in the Philippines?
Opo.
So can you ask somebody to plant it for you? Nanay, pakitanim nga ako ng ito. Are you not a Filipino?
Filipino po, miss.
So marunong ka ng Tagalog. So
Opo.
pwede bang kausapin si nanay o si kuya o si ate? Kahit isang tree lang.
Kausapin ko po yung grandparents ko po. Kasi mahilig po sila sa gardening po.
Saan?
Gardening po. May sarili po silang garden sa Pilipinas.
Okay, so okay na yun sa akin. But at least they know that you want to improve the lives of our, kasi hindi ko nga mabilang. Okay, question.
Paano po yung documentation? The documentation po ng po?
Kung di picturean niya si Lola o si na nagtanim for you.
Sige po.
Kasi special case din. Na wala ka, sabi mo, disyerto, sayang.
Okay, thank you, miss.
Is there any question? For the
Yes.
others, no? Okay. Huwag niyo naman utusan lahat ng mga lola at lolo, no? Kailangan, gusto ko sana kayo ang maka-experience. Anong question?
Soriano po. Yung
Soriano.
lahat po ba yung ng tatlong assignments sa kakompile na lang po sa isang like word file po?
Okay. Ganito, yung plant a tree, hindi pa yun kailangan. Sa last week pa yun na 11th week ko pa yung check yan eh. Kasi kailangan may preview, may before and after yun eh. Di ba? Yung 1 and 2, yun, kailangan na yun. Kasi masosolve nyo na yun, mariresearch na yun, baka 1 or 2 days lang, tapos nyo na yung pagre-research. Kasi nasa internet lang yun. Tapos yung pagsosolve, nandun din. So yung 1 and 2, yun ang kailangan by Friday, nakadikit na, naka-upload na doon sa ating Blackboard. Okay, yung plant a tree, sa only pa yun, 11th week. I just want you to experience, no? Diba, nakita ko after 11 weeks, napakalaki na pala nitong puno na ito. Ay, walang nangyari, namatay. Sana wag naman. But that is for your own good. I just want to plant in your heart, no, that planting a tree would really be beneficial to all. Okay, any other question?
Ma'am, given
Okay,
po, question
sige.
po, sa homework 1 po, naka-PDF file po, di ba po?
Okay lang, kasi round barn, at pwede yung naka-word file, di ba? Sinerge mo, yan. Tapos pipicturean mo lang. Naka-PDF na, picture form. I-upload mo lang ng picture. Isang file na puro picture.
Okay po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Yung AB pag-solve ng area ng AB, EG, tsaka FG, dapat nakalagay na yun sa papel, syempre, lagay mo sa papel o sa whatever, sa notebook. Tapos, nagsisolve ka, pipicturean mo lang yung sinolve mo. Then, upload mo na.
Okay po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Okay, is there any other question?
Basinal po, ma'am.
Okay, Basinal?
Pwede po bang gumamit ng digital notebook?
Digital.
Ano po, ma'am? Like, tablet na lang po para sa solution ng homework. Sa tablet po magsasabi.
Ibig mo sabihin lahat ng homework mo, itatype mo pa? Like for example,
Ano
the
po?
solution.
Yung tablet po kasi parang may stylus po, may parang ballpen.
Okay lang. Okay lang. Basta handwritten mo rin naman yun.
Thank you po.
Kasi ang hirap naman kung itatype mo pa, the four summation ko ito, ang hirap. Pero kung ganito katulad ng ginagawa ko, naka-stylus, hindi rin. Kasi I want you to write it. By the way, ang gusto ko sana nga, pero okay lang yung kung gusto mong gawin gano'n. Pero I want you to have a notebook. At tapos yung notebook na yun, with so many homeworks na ginawa ko, and I want you to, I want it to be compiled. Kasi buti kung hindi masisira yung mga nasa stylus nyo o nasa ano nyo. But if it is a hard copy, you'll be able to get it. Kunyari, magbo-board exam na kayo, mag-aaral na kayo. Paano nga ba ito sinop? Ano nga ba ginawa dito? Etc. etc. So, I want you to have sana the hard copy kahit blackout. Ako blackout mo, hindi na ako makapag-aral. Wala yung stylus o walang kuryente or whatever. So, that's why I want you na hard copy sana. Tapos, pipicturean nyo lang, then you send. Parang itong ginagawa natin. That is for the sake na kung mawala ng ilaw, mawala ng pang-charge, etc., you still will be able to do. At saka malapit na yata itong November o next magkakaroon na ng board exam ang CE natin. So matutuloy-tuloy na yung pag-confer ng mga engineering schools sa CE, lalo na ng civil engineering. Hindi lang graduates, but rather civil engineers. So, kailangan yung mga kino-compile nyo na. And this is one of the basic foundation of all your design courses. If you try to look at the board exam na binigay prior noon pa, walang board exam na lumabas na walang strength of materials na problem. So, kaya ito yung foundation kasi hindi ka makakapag-design ng concrete, ng steel, ng timber, ng foundation, ng footing, etc. kung wala kang strength of materials. Ito yung foundation. But of course, importante rin yung mechanics nyo at saka yung math nyo. Pero this will be the foundation. Kaya nga ito 5 units ang binigay sa inyo for you to be able to practice. Kaya sana pinapagawa ko kayo ng notebook na napakaganda at napaka-presentable. Not for me, but for you. Kasi ako isang beses ko lang titignan niya. But you, when you go to your theory of structures, babalikan nyo ulit. Ang pinag-aralan namin sa strength of material. Pumunta kayo sa timber design, sa concrete design, sa steel design, etc. etc. Babalik at babalik kayo dyan sa basic. So, maganda, maayos yung notebook ninyo, well prepared, at saka, and so that you will also benefit from them. Naintindihan ba? But it's still up to you. Actually, it's not for me, it's for you. Mahirap na ako mag-check ng notebook, pero I'm still doing it for the sake that you will be able to have that, yung urge na lahat ng pinag-aralan nyo, you document it, not just pictures, but also, kasi maraming studies na nagawa. Study shows that students who are rewriting their notes, hindi lang yung picture sa klase, habang nagle-lecture yung teacher, picturean, o kaya dito, picture ng picture. They try to retain at saka be able to recall yung ginawa o dun sa subject na yon by rewriting the basic as well as the calculation and having to solve them again by themselves. So maraming nakukuhang studies na will prove that rewriting your notebooks, resolving the problems is really a good form of exercise for you to be ready during our exam, which will be on the 24th of November. Question? Isa pang tanong? Okay, wala na. Print screen. Stop share.
Jacob po.
Jacob.
Bali yung sa Friday po, ma'am, anong homework po yung due?
1. Research. Available diameter lang ng round deformed square bar. 2. Determine the required cross-sectional areas for member A, B, E, G, F, G of the given truss shown. If the allowable, ayan. 1 and 2. Naintindihan ba, Jacob?
Okay po, ma'am. Thank you po.
Yung planta tree, maghanap pa. Siyempre, maghahanap pa kayo ng seedling o maghahanap pa kayo ng etc. So, you have the whole term to do it. Okay? Wala na. Stop share ko na to, ha? Stop share. Okay, the next problem. Okay, let us say we have this truss, no? And let's say P happens to be 100 newtons. Okay, will you count how many members do we have in this truss? Members are separated by joints. So this is called 1, 2, how many members? Ay, sandali lang, I have to go to the CR. Wait a minute. Okay, so how many members do we have? Nabilang na ba?
13 po.
13 members. Okay, so that's correct. No? We have 13 members. Let us say I will ask you, there are 13 members in this class. I want you to determine the actual force on every member. So therefore, there should be 13 answers. Okay, so how do you want to solve the actual force on every member? Where do we start? Ang
D po.
members, yeah?
Sa D po.
D. Okay, so what you are saying is for me to get the, using the joint method, I will start with the analysis of joint D. Okay, so joint D, there are two members acting and there is an external force na 100 newtons. Okay, so this will be called CD and this will be called DE. I will assume these members to be in what? I can assume them to be in
Tension.
Okay, in tension. And that means away from the joint. Okay, so the angles here are 60, 30, 30. So this should also be 60 if I would divide it into 2. So that is 30 and this is also 30. Symmetric tayo, 30 and then 30. Okay, what equation we use? Summation of
F of X.
of x equals 0. Okay, what goes to the right? DE. What function? Okay, tuloy mo na.
Sin. DE sin po.
Sin of?
Sin 38 po.
30. 30 degrees.
Ay, 30 po.
Okay, what goes to the left?
CD sin 30 po.
Okay, so sin 30, sin 30, that they cancel. What we can say is that DE is exactly equal to CD.
CD po.
Equation 1. But we haven't solved anything yet. Then, what else?
Summation of F of Y po.
Y equal to 0. What goes up? Wala. What goes down is negative C D cosine 30 minus DE cosine 30 rin.
Yes po.
Okay, what goes down pa is 100 equal to 0. But CD is equal to DE, so pwedeng kahit CD or DE, I'll have negative 2CD cosine 30 equals 100. Tama ba?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay. What is CD? Which is equal to DE. And that is equal to negative 100 over 2 over cosine of 30. How much is that?
Negative 57.74 po.
Point?
74 po.
74. Okay. Negative means it's in
Compression.
So we have 13, ano? I already solved 1 and then 2. 13 minus 2, 11 na lang. Where will I go next? Ganzon. Mendoza. After analyzing joint D, where will I go next? Free-body diagram of what? Joint. After D, can you go to C? I cannot go to C kasi tatlo yung unknowns dyan eh. You can only go to the next joint wherein there are only 2 members that are unknown. Ano yun?
Joint E po.
Joint E. So if I will take the free body diagram of joint E, this is what I will have. Okay, alam ko na yung DE. DE or ED is 57 and in compression. So lalagay ko dyan. Ito si DE. DE is 57.74. Okay, ito yung E. So there are 2 other members. I will assume both members are in tension. CE and EF. Okay. How will I solve for CE or EF? Okay, this is very important. Are a joint subjected to the action of 3 members? 1, 2, 3, with no external load, walang load sa E. If 2 are collinear, the third must be 0. So therefore what? Actually, in order to prove that, I can use rotated axis. If I will call this our Y and this will be our X axis, I will sum up forces about Y, but there is no component of B and EF about Y. So therefore, CE, whatever this angle is, actually this angle is 60. Related dito, 60, that is also 60. CE about Y, sine of 60 equals 0. But equals 0, therefore CE is 0. And EF is what? Eh, dalawa na lang natira, EF at saka DE. So what is EF? EF should be equal to what? Anybody? Meneses? Meridor? Merluza? Naintindihan ba bakit si CE 0? What I did is just use rotated axis. Tatlo lang yung nag-forces nag-act sa E. Tapos, collinear pa yung dalawa. Wala namang external load. So, the third must be 0. So, CE is 0. So, EF should be equal to DE. Siyempre, dalawa na lang sila. Dapat, it's also, hindi totoo na in compression, in tension siya. It is also 57.74 and in compression. Newtons and in compression. So that they are 2 opposite forces, equal in magnitude, oppositely directed, and passing through a common point. They will be in equilibrium. Okay, so nakailan na tayo? 1, 2, 3, 4. Then I can go to where?
C po.
Of course, I can go to C. Sa C, wala nang CE. No, C is already 0. So ito na lang ang nag-act. Okay. So CE is, CB is 57 in compression. Ito si CB and it is 57.74 newtons in compression. So therefore, again, at a joint C, 1, 2, 3 members are acting, 2 are collinear, the third must be
0 po.
0. Sino yung 0?
CF po.
CF is 0. What about BC?
Equals to CD.
CD equals 57.74 newtons and also in compression. So 1, 2, 3, 4, this is 5, that is 6. So out of 11, naka-anim na tayo. Ay, out of 13, naka-anim na tayo. Okay, now we cannot go to B kasi tatlo yung unknowns. We cannot go to F kasi tatlo rin yung unknowns, no? Even if CF is 0, tatlo, apat pa nga yung unknowns dito. Ay, ito palang EF, alam na. Tatlo rin yung unknowns. We cannot go to F nor to B. Where do we transfer next? The best is for you to transfer to
G.
G or A.
A.
Pwede sa G, pwede sa A. Ito, roller support. This is the reaction at A. Kaso, hinge support to, dalawa sana. Kaya lang, wala namang iba pang horizontal force. Yung G horizontal will be 0. So, yung G vertical na lang. RA at saka G vertical. Kaya lang, iisa lang yung load, nasa gitna pa. Ano kaya ang RA at saka G vertical? Then if I will sum up moment about, take the free body diagram of the whole structure. And then sum up moment about G equal to 0. What rotate clockwise? RA, anong distance? Kung wala ka naman binigay na distance, okay lang, kahit wala. I will call this X distance. Okay, what rotate counter? Si 100. What is the distance? Because 60 yan, 62, this must be kalahati. X over 2. Distance. So therefore, reaction at A is just kalahati ng 100 kasi X cancel out. So 50. Which is also equal to G vertical. Kasi 100, ating kapatid, 50 lang sila. So once I go to joint A, yung joint A, alam ko yung RA is 50. So what is AH? And what is AB? I will assume AB in, what is AH? AH will be 0, di ba?
Yes po, ma'am.
Kasi at a joint subjected to the action of 3 members with no external load, the third must be 0. So AH is 0. What is AB?
Equals RA.
RA, which is 50 newtons and in compression. Compression. So ano yon? Naka-anim, ito, and then 8. AB and AH are already known. In fact, if AH is 0, 0 na to, imagine na wala ito, so what do you know? If you go to H, so what is HF? Again, it is 0. Kasi the 3 members with no external load. If 2 are collinear, the third must be 0. So HF is 0. Okay, ilan na yan? 9. Napang 9 na natin na. But, ganito rin sa G, I can say that when I go to G, HG, itong reaction na 50, ano yung HG? It's also
0 po.
0. And yung GF or FG,
Equals GV po.
FG is equals to 50 rin. So 8, 9, 10, 11. Actually, yung DH is also 0. Kasi kung 0 na to, 0 na rin. 11, 12. Isa na lang, hindi pa natin nakuha. 13 lang ito eh. It's only BF. So sa BF, in order to solve for BF, 0 na to, you analyze B. Yung AB, ano nga ba yung AB? Nasaan na yung AB? Ito. AB is 50 in compression. 50. So ito si BF. Ito si CF. And then CB. BC. Okay. I will assume this intention. Ano ba si CB? CB, where is CB? CB. CF. CB pala ito, CB. Ayun, si BC. BC is 57.74 and in compression. This is 60 degrees. Can you solve for BF? Yes, we sum up forces about X. BF goes to horizontal minus 57.74 cosine 60. So what is BF? Saan na lang yan? 13 yung pinusolve sa atin.
28.87 po.
And intention. 28.27 and intention.
0.87 po, ma'am.
Okay, so very important that a rejoin subject to deduction of 3 members. Basta may tatlong members lang at walang external load. If 2 are collinear, the third must be 0. So that is very important. Print screen and then any question? That. Okay, stop sharing. Okay, so I will go to the next problem. Okay. Ito, maliit na lang. Will you read it? Nitro. Catherine, Nitro.
A bronze rod is rigidly attached between a aluminum rod and a steel rod as shown. Actual loads are applied at the positions indicated. Find the maximum value of P that will not exceed the stress in steel of 120 megapascal, in aluminum of 105 megapascal, or in bronze of 98 megapascal.
Thank you very much for reading it very nicely. Kaya lang may mali ako. This should be an aluminum rod. Hindi A. My mistake. Okay, so take note, no, the indicated loads are 2P, 3P, and 6P. And they are found exactly at the junction, sa pagitan, no? And these 3 bars are rigidly attached together. So we are asked to solve for the maximum value of P. Ano yung pinakamalaking load na pwede nating apply dun sa system? Because they are made up of different materials and they have different lengths and areas, the best way is to analyze them separately. And to do that, we need to pass a cutting plane on each segment. So if I will analyze and cut this portion, take the left side, I will be able to expose the internal force on our steel. So ito yung steel. subjected, this is the cutting plane, this will be the continuation of that steel member. Ang external load, 2P to the right. To attain equilibrium, no, my steel will be subjected to the force, summation of force horizontal. Kung may 2P ka to the left, ay to the right, there should also be 2P here to the right. Clearly, this is an external load, an internal load suffered by steel due to the externally applied load. So, yung kulay red is internal. Yung kulay black is externally applied load. And yung external will produce an internal effect on the member. Kung ano yung external, yun din yung internal. Pero hindi always. No? Katulad nito. If I will pass a cutting plane here, analyze this section. Okay, this is our bronze rod, wherein we have our aluminum attached rigidly to it, the cut section. So we will be able to expose the internal force on the member. Yung externally applied loads are 2P to the right, another 3P to the left. To attain equilibrium, summation of forces must be in equilibrium. So they should be subjected. No, meron ka ng 2P to the right, 3P to the left. So meron kang P acting, no, to the right. Now, making our bronze in compression. Ito, making our steel in tension. Kasi away from the section while this is towards the section. Then finally, if I will pass a cutting plane here, analyze this section, I will also be exposing the internal effect of the externally applied loads in the system. This is our aluminum, followed by our bronze. And lastly, followed by our steel element. This is the cut portion. We will be exposing the internal force on the member. And for the externally applied loads, we have 2P acting to the right, 3P acting to the left, and another 6P acting there. So what is the internal force on the member? It should be that the system should always be, that the system cut from an equilibrium system should always be in equilibrium. So therefore, meron kang 6 plus 2, a total of 8, meron kang 3. So this should be the internal force on the member, and that is equal to 5P. Para 3 plus 5 is 8 to the left, 6 plus 2, 8 to the right. So those are our internal effect on the member. So from stresses, we can say that stress is exactly equal to P over A. We talk about our steel. The stress allowable on steel is 120. The force on steel is 2P. And the area of our steel is 150 square millimeters. This is megapascal Newton per square millimeter. So you'll get the first P. This is P of steel. I will just call it P1. Yan yung P na kaya ng steel natin. Next, from an analysis of our bronze, stress is exactly equal to P over A. Allowable stress in bronze is 98. Okay, the force on bronze is just P. The area in bronze is 200. So therefore, you get the force P in bronze, which I will call P sub 2. And then finally, in our aluminum, are you following? Stress is exactly equal to P over A. Allowable stress in aluminum is given to be 105. And the force on aluminum is not just P, nor 2P, it's 5P. And then the area is 500 even. So you have the third P. P1 means that is the force na kaya ng steel. P2 means the force that our bronze can carry. And P3 means that this is the aluminum force, no, that can be carried by aluminum. Will you kindly solve each? Posadas sa steel, Rivera sa bronze, Santiago sa aluminum. Kindly solve, please. Pakisulat na rin. I'll just take this for weight. Pakisulat ha.
Ma'am. Ma'am.
Okay, walang sumagot. What is P1? Whom did I call?
P1 po is 9,000 Newton po.
9,000. The other P2.
Franco. P2 po is 19,600 Newton.
And then P3.
P3 po is 10,500 Newtons.
Okay, so we have P1, P2, P3, and they are the allowable, the maximum forces, no, that can be applied for every member. But the problem is to find the maximum value of P. What is the final answer? What is P governing? Anybody?
9,000 po.
Or kahit na sinabi na maximum and the highest is really 19,000, it should be the smallest. Bakit? Why do we choose the governing to be 9,000?
To be safe po, ma'am.
Of course, isa lang ang dahilan natin. Palagi yun lang ang dahilan natin. Why? Because we want to be safe. Which means that steel is really in this particular problem the weakest member. Because ang liit lang ng kaya niya. Ang liit kasi ng area niya. Ang laki ng force niya, doble sa P. Okay, while bronze is just carrying 5. Ay, P lang. Pero si aluminum, it carries 5P, pero medyo malaki naman yung area niya. 500. Okay, so, can you follow?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am.
Meron ba tanong? Meron yung chat? Okay. Okay. So, print screen and then save. Okay. Probably this will be my last apat na to. May still tatlo pa o apat pa. But I will end here so that we can, after this problem. Kindly read it. Sino na ba ang magbabasa? Santiago.
Number 4, determine the weight of the heaviest cylinder that can be supported by the structure shown if the cross-sectional area of the cable is 120 millimeters squared and its allowable stress is 80 megapascal.
Okay, so let me just use the smaller version so that I have more space. Okay, so this is our problem. We are asked to solve for the weight of the heaviest. We want to maximize, no? Heaviest cylinder. Okay, so this cylinder, as shown in the figure, this is really a side view, which means that if I will try to draw the isometric view, I have this as my cylinder, and this cylinder is being held in this position with the aid of the wall. So may wall dyan. Kaya lang, even if there is a wall and there is that cylinder, and even with the help of the bar position there, if this bar is naka-hinge lang naman dito sa wall, it's not possible to hold it. Mabuti sana kung naka-fix siya, nakapako, it can resist a certain amount of weight of the cylinder. But since it's not, it's hinged, there is that possibility for this to fall, no? In this manner. Mahuhulog lang yan. That is why we need to attach it to the wall with the use of the string. So actually, it's this string is really the one holding this together. That is why in this problem, sabi, you have the cable or that string that has an area of 120 square millimeters and has an allowable stress of 80 megapascal. So everything about this cable is given. Kaya lang, we are asked to solve for the weight of this cylinder. So the weight of the cylinder is unknown. Let me use a different color so that we can view it. It's acting at the center of gravity. So we are asked to solve for the weight of the cylinder. Kaya lang, we need to base the weight of the cylinder from the capacity of the cable. Kaya lang yung cable is not directly attached to the cylinder. So what we will try to do is relate the weight of the cable to the bar and then the bar to the cylinder. No? Step by step lang gagawin natin. So if you want, you can start taking the free body diagram of the cylinder. Okay, ito yung cylinder. What are the forces applied on the cylinder? We have the weight. And because this wall is supporting the cylinder, neglecting frictional reaction should always be acting perpendicular to the surface in contact. So meron tayong normal reaction there. And aside from this normal reaction, meron tayong reaction offered by the bar to the cylinder. This will be our reaction. Okay, so my aim is to relate my weight with the value of R. But before I can relate them, I need to determine the exact direction of R. To get the exact direction of R, there is a need to determine the angle of R. Okay, let us say I call this theta. Theta is the angle subtended by the vertical wall and the inclined bar. So let that be angle theta. Now, ang problema, is this theta? Is theta equal to beta or equal to alpha? Where is theta? Is it alpha or beta?
Alpha po.
Alpha po.
Ano? Theta is equal to
Alpha po.
Alpha po.
alpha. Is there any other answer? Bakit dalawa lang? Theta and alpha. Okay, kasi pag ito nagkamali, mali na lahat. Okay, so let us try to recall so that you will be helped, no? When are angles equal? Angles are equal when their sides are perpendicular each to each. Number two, when their sides are parallel each to each. Three, when our angles are equal, when they are alternate interior angles of two parallel lines cut by a transversal. Or when they are vertical angles. And then five, they are right angles. Okay, so let us try to consider each, no? Let's say I have an inclined plane, inclined at an angle of theta with respect to the horizontal. And let's say this inclined plane is provided for with a block, and the block weighs W. Now I want you to determine the components of W parallel and perpendicular to this inclined plane. So we need rotated axis. Let's say this is our X and this is our Y axis. Okay, so to relate, our theta is an angle subtended by this horizontal line, which is perpendicular to the weight because weight is vertical and this is horizontal. So this is perpendicular to that, and what is perpendicular to the inclined plane? It's really our Y. So this is theta. Kasi angles are equal when their sides are perpendicular each to each. Actually, This is the inclined bar, which is perpendicular to R. I can form angle theta if I can get another line perpendicular to the other side, no, subtended by angle theta. So this is a vertical, and of course, the horizontal is the one perpendicular to it. So this should be theta. So is this true? Angles are equal when their sides are perpendicular each to each. So, ang theta natin dito is supposed to be this one, beta, not alpha. Kasi pag mali, mali na lahat. Naintindihan ba? The others who mentioned that this is the one that are equal, naintindihan ba?
Yes po, ma'am.
Okay, so para hindi magkamali ha, very important. Okay. What about the other one? If I have a horizontal ground, no, an inclined plane, inclined at an angle of theta, and there is a block resting on this inclined plane. But let's say I have a force acting, no, on the block horizontally, P. And I want you to resolve that P into components parallel and perpendicular to the inclined plane. Where is theta? Okay, this angle theta is subtended by these two lines. My P is parallel to the horizontal. So therefore, I need another line parallel to this, and that is the X. So this is theta. Angles are equal when their sides are parallel each to each. Okay, what about this one? When they are alternating interior angles of two parallel lines cut by a transversal. If I have two parallel lines and I cut it with a transversal, alternate interior angles are equal. We already know that. In fact, hindi lang alternate interior angles, alternate exterior angles are also equal. And for number 4, vertical angles are always equal. When we say vertical angles, they are formed whenever you have two intersecting lines. And for vertical angles, there will be two sets of angles that are equal. Obtuse angles are equal, as well as acute angles are equal, as well as the obtuse angle. And then of course, yung right angle. Siyempre, all right angles are measured 90 degrees. So they are all equal. So therefore, ito yung theta, not alpha. So to relate W and R, I will use summation of forces vertical equal to 0. What goes up is R. Anong function ng theta? I need the Y function, and that is the sine function. Sine of theta. It's exactly equal to W. Okay, from the figure, I have a right triangle. I know that this is theta. I know that this is A. This is 3 plus 9, so this is 12. So I can define sine theta. Sine of theta is A over 12. So therefore, R times sine theta. If you want to solve for the angle theta, you can solve for the angle theta. But I need sine theta. It's just 8 over 12. Exactly equal to W. So I now know the relation between R and W. R is just equal to 12 over 8. What is 12 over 8? 1.5 W. R is just 1.5 W. Kaya lang, I still need to solve for the weight. And to solve for the weight, I need to take the free body diagram of the bar. Ito yung bar. Kaso naka-hinge pa dito. And if it is hinge, I expect two components of the reaction. A horizontal and A vertical. I'll just assume the direction, going up to the right, positive direction. But this is where the cylinder is. So there is that by law of action reaction are acting. And of course, this is supposed to be the force on member or the tension in member B, C. So to relate the tension and R, I will use summation of moment about A equal to 0. What rotate clockwise about A? It's R. Anong distance? Yung perpendicular distance niya. Times 3. What rotate counterclockwise? Yung tension sa cable BC. Anong perpendicular distance niya? Anybody who knows the perpendicular distance of BC from A?
12.
Okay. The common mistake is really to consider 12 kasi 3 plus 9 is 12. But this is not perpendicular to BC. Kung sana si BC nakaganon. Perpendicular yan. Kaso hindi. BC is horizontally applied. So, do you know the perpendicular distance? This is 12. That is A. Can you solve for this Y? That is the perpendicular distance. Y squared plus 8 squared equals 12 squared. That is our Pythagorean theorem. Ano ba yung 12 squared? 144 minus 64. 44 minus 64. That is square root of 80. Equal to 0. So I can solve for R. R is 1.5 W. So 1.5 W is exactly equal to T of BC. What is T of BC? The tension in the cable. The tension in the cable is using stress is exactly equal to P over A. Stress, allowable stress is 80. The force P divided by the area 120. What is P? Or what is the tension in the cable? P is just the tension in the cable BC. 80 times 120 will have 96. So this is 96 times square root of 80. Ito times 3 naman. So what is the weight of the cylinder? Anybody? Can you solve it? Orsolino. Orsolino? The last one. Orsolino.
Wait lang po, ma'am. $19,081.11 po.
So the weight of the cylinder should be 19,081.11 because the tension in the cable is limited to 80 allowable stress and the area is 120. So the stress or the force is 9,600. Doon ang galing yan. Of course, the distance is coming from this. And then 1.5 W times, which is R. And then that is the distance. So that will be our answer. Question. Is there any question?
Wala naman po, ma'am.
Okay, naintindihan. Okay, if you do not have any question, I will first. Ay! can still see, no? Print screen ko lang. Print screen. Then, stop share. Paano ko naburan? I'll give you another homework. Modification of this problem. What if I will modify this problem? What if, ano yan? Module 1, homework. Let me just call this homework number 2. Okay, this is due. Yung isa number 1, kaya lang 1, 2, 3, no? Ito homework number 2, with this will be due on 15, November 15. Para mapiniwala. What I will try to do is, letter A, that is the cylinder, this is the bar. Naka-hinge pa rin to. And this bar, naka-horizontal before eh. Let me move it at a certain angle. 15 degrees. Let's say this is A. This is still 3. That is still 9. This is still A. You have to compute this if you want BC. Ito ang A. Okay. What is the weight of the cylinder? Yun pa rin ang tanong. Naintindihan ba itong figure? What I did is just move. Move up 15 degrees. It's not anymore horizontal. Katulad nito. It's now moved 15 degrees up. Yun yung pala. 8,
Yes,
ano pa rin
po.
to? 8 meters pa rin, 3 meters pa rin, 9 meters pa rin. Okay, now letter B. Sa November 15 pa to. I still have the bar na naka-hinge. Okay, and this is horizontal pa rin. But this time, it's the wall that I will move. Originally, the wall was vertical. I will move it. I will move it by 15 degrees. Pero yung wall lang move ko. Move the wall. This is now the cylinder. Medyo lumaki yung cylinder kasi na-absorb. Pero this is still 3. This is still 9. Okay. This is 15 degrees. Move. Lumaki yung cylinder. Okay, but this is still okay, hanggang dito is 8. So you have to solve for this distance. Paano? So I do not have any right triangle anymore. Instead, I have an oblique triangle. But originally, this was 8 when this is vertical. So you'll be able to solve for, if you want to solve this angle theta, and then just add this angle 15 degrees there. Pero yung ito, lumaki ng konti ito. Yung cylinder na ito. To be to reach the other side of the wall. Can you follow the modifications?
Yes po, ma'am.
Yes po, ma'am.
So, sa 15 naman po. Homework, module 1, homework 2. A and B. Okay, so, I believe that we have covered enough. And we'll try to continue next time. Questions? Some other question? So yung 1 and 2 sa homework 1, module 1, should be submitted Friday. So I will create a link. And yung homework 2, module 1, November 15. 1 day. Okay, and then start looking for a tree that for just for you to experience the joy of planting trees. Not just yung mga plantita. Of course, it's also nice, no? Kasi it will also help the environment. But the trees are the best. Meron pa nga mga points dyan na nangyari. I think that I shall never see a tree. Lovely as a tree. A poem, lovely as a tree. Okay, so take note. Now I will stop share and place it in our screen. Okay, for the last time, I will consider the attendance kasi yung iba late, 30 plus lang yung student plus kami ng maga. Will you open your camera? I'll just take 2 shots. Yung first group muna. Merluza. Okay na. G2, Gross, Pasople. Kindly open your camera, please. Isa na lang. Si Pride. Ayun, makita mo si Pride. Okay, 1. Okay. And then the next up. So, Oloso, Kurt, I cannot see you. Okay. Dali lang. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you very much. You can now follow them. And of course, you can also leave the session. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you po, ma'am.
Stay
Stay
safe
safe
din
din
po,
po.
ma'am. Stay safe din po.
Bye-bye.
Bye po.